Gatita mudanya wate kieda vera Etai koro karu au koithereron ye kieda vera
You newbie.
Every now and then I get a break, but before I know it,
it's right back to the beat. Back to the beat. It's right back to the beat. Back to the beat. It's right back to the beat. Back to the beat. It's right back to the beat. Back to the beat. Back to the beat.
Do I make you horny, man?
Back to the beat.
Yo, we in there like swimwear, I got that boy Chris here, and we ain't in no swimwear, but y'all wish we was. And I'm about to bring a whole club in the bus, and I don't give a fuck.
Back to the beat. Back to the beat.
What?
It's right back to the beat. Back to the beat.
You heard the man. All right, we in there. So, we trying to get this Monday fucking over with. So
fucking freestyle in the beginning.
I'm just playing around, man. Just having some fun, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love it though.
Anyway, so you guys know, yeah, there, right?
Chris Morbid, aka Chris Tenosha.
There we go. That's the way I got to point. That's, you know the man, that guy right there. He's in the same room, but we set it up and just like fuck it, let's throw the dice.
Nah,
you know?
I'm 60 miles away and I know location.
You got a good mic. Hey, we've chopped it up a little bit since then, just so you guys know. It's not like we just podcast together or something like that. But things have happened since in between time. I'm sure that's added to the wonderful little gem that we had the last time. If you guys are here, you guys are about to enjoy the rest of this. So we're about to have some fun. We're about to kick it for a while, and once we're over that, we're about to be, ooh boy,
Won't be a long-ass podcast like last week, though.
Yeah, that was a fun one, though. Wasn't bad.
It was, but I'm not going to lie. That was like 2 days after coming off like a 2-week fucking depression and shit. So it was just kind of like nice to be able to like have contact and talk to somebody. So, but it's basically part 2. It's not going to be as long as last time. It really is not, because we already got into the beginning, the middle, and then we just go to the end and the aftermath. So where we left off was I was in the hospital, and they had asked me questions and things, and I was being honest and truthful, but I was involuntarily. I didn't realize it was involuntarily. I had got arrested after a dispute with my family. Not violent. Nothing was threatened. I said one sentence that was, I to this day, I regret after realizing how it fucked my life up. I mentioned something about suicide, and so, boom, cuffs come on. And I'm thrown in the back of a cop car, taken to St. Mary's. Thought I was going to go to jail for the day or something. 30 minutes before I had to work at a psych ward, I end up in a fucking psych ward. With lack of sleep and everything.
Yeah,
so
as soon as you mention scuba dive, everybody wants you to get checked in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every time.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that was quite a fucking day.
I was about to say, how was your experience in that little joint?
Well, first, obviously, they're going to take your clothes, which is, that's normal. They take your phone. I'm not going to, say anything like... That's just how the protocol works. Make sure you don't have any weapons or any drugs on you, which I did.
In jail, they make you bend over and cough, so...
Well... I've never been to jail, man.
I only went once.
I've kept my nose clean my whole life and shit, just trying to, be smart about what I do.
The thing that I went to jail for is not on my record or nothing, but yeah, it just sucked. Yeah, jail is terrible.
Well, this sucks because I had no prior arrests, no nothing. Never had the cops called on me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a goody two shoes. I just never really got into shit to fucking have anything happen. First offense, but. The circumstances.
Saying, people definitely blew that shit out of proportion the way I hear this.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't like, okay, so you got arrested. You mentioned suicide, you got arrested, and then you went to a hospital. Okay, but the fact that it was like 30 minutes before I had to go to work at a fucking psych ward where we send people to go there. So I know patients there that I was like last week giving them water and shit. So you got to imagine how much of an asshole I look. I texted my boss. I was like, hey, Chico, I'm not going to be able to come in today. Because I knew I was getting arrested. And I thought I'd be out the next day or something and just go to work and be like, yeah, I got arrested because my bitch sister and my mother and all this, pulled some shit. But, like I said, it's been a good week last week and stuff. So I've, my attitude's a little more like, I'm more open. This is how I really am. When you saw me last time, I was kind of like, yeah.
Well, last time we made sure that we let people know on the top of the episode it was a mental health check episode. We've done one of those before.
So, like I said, I didn't get a chance to finish part 2. YouTube pretty much just said, nah, you got to shut the fuck up. My voice was going away, too.
To be honest with you, I didn't even think about this until after we did the podcast, but yours was contrast to the first one, which is very good for the public, because the first one was with a guy that... his whole life was just pure dog shit up until a certain point where he just couldn't take it anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's either, scuba dive or fucking, fix it. I'm just saying scuba dive because it rhymes with.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can say it all you want, but I don't know. I'm now that YouTube's being a dick, I almost feel like the things that I'm saying are almost cuss words to YouTube. They're kind of like middle fingers.
Your own little fucking wordplay.
Hell yeah, like shit, all that grape and schmurder. We can say all that shit all day.
Grape, schmurder, waffle instead of,
Blue waffle, remember that? Yeah. All right, now that'll put you in the psych ward. All right, let's pick it up where we left off.
So pick it up where we left off. Try not to get sidetracked, because last time we were all about dicks and shit and that. And religion and all that shit.
Gotta love podcasts, man. That's how it goes sometimes.
But, like I said, when I went, it would have been like, okay, so you said something stupid, cops arrest you, and then, boom, you're in a psych ward. Okay, well, you probably let out after. No, it was just more bullshit on top of bullshit. So I go in there and they're asking me questions. Well, did you say this? And I'm not gonna lie, because obviously, a straight shooter, try to just tell the truth. I mean, I'm not crazy. I'm not.
It's hard to keep up with lies.
I blew up. I got mad. I blew up. I felt better once I blew up, and then I left. Usually do. And so then, boom, handcuffs come on, taken to a psych ward, and they're in there. They're asking me all these questions. Got to do the COVID test. all the thing. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I'll be out of here by tonight. This is such bullshit. I was supposed to get a car today, and, now this happened. I was supposed to be at work, and now this happened. Well, there was a woman who actually came from Cope. Her name was Sarah. I never met Sarah at Cope, but she goes to all these clinics around, and she represents Cope because it's all part of one big company. I think it's Trinity Health. And she started asking me, like, do you know why you're here? I'm like, look, I know you're going to think I'm crazy by like saying this, but I literally am supposed to be at Cope. Like, I know Chico, I know Yvonne, I know all these guys, I know Keith, I know, like, I'm not, like, trying to, like, name drop people. I'm like, I know the what we use, Journey. I said I wear the blue smock. I had a blue smock on before I got arrested. I took it off. And so, yeah, I'm saying, like, I was dressed for work. And I said, go call Chico and tell him, hey, Chris, and I'm not going to give my, legal last name, but, on the
Chris
podcast.
Morbid.
Yeah, Chris Morbid. They don't know that, but, basically, tell him, hey, does Chris, work here? And they'll say, yeah, he's actually supposed to be in right now. And I looked at the clock. The only way you could tell time, or like you couldn't tell what day it was, you couldn't tell anything, because the window was like boarded up with like steel or something. White room. The TV had like this plastic case box on it, which I'm pretty sure had like what is that called? Like gunproof glass, PV something? Or... it's not PVC. PVC pipes.
Plexiglass.
Yeah, plexiglass.
Yeah, shit's super hard.
Yeah, so it's like that, and the fucking most hospital beds can like move back and forth. This thing was cemented into the ground.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that bitch ain't going nowhere.
That fucking hospital bed like was about the size of this fucking right here where I'm sitting. Like. That's how big that bed was. Had steel bars up, and every time like I moved my leg and it just touched it, was like cold ass metal. Why I'm saying this is because afterwards I'll tell you about with like PTSD some of the shit, the early stuff that started happening, especially when I got out of the hospital. But when I got there, she was like, "Okay, well I'll let them know, and I appreciate you telling me." And I go, "Look, honestly, I know you're probably not going to believe me. I mean, there's people in there that say all this shit and say all this. I'm like, I this is what happened." I was supposed to work today. Call Chico. And I told him the last names of these people too. Like, I knew the last names. I'm like, I'm not saying that because I was sitting in the office. I'm saying because I was behind the desk. I know and I was like telling her the process, what we do, what's in the back room. There's the office space, the coffee maker's there. There's 2, break rooms. There's the, when you walk in, you sign your card in. And, then she, she believed me.
Well, let me write that down on my plan.
No, what's funny? Like, dude, that's such a fucking low security place. There's, like, anybody could walk up with a gun and just open fire, even through the windows.
Damn.
Like, dude, it's, like, not safe. People have breaking out of there. The only thing we can do is when they break out, we call the cops, they get brought back. That's it. They get broke. We had people that broke down the door.
Hold on. Before anybody gets any weird ideas, I was actually writing down bandit beats. So, sorry. You people think I actually got like a little blueprint of that fucking bitch or something? Like, no, hell no.
No, but like we got no security. We got nothing, dude. Like, there's nothing in there. And there was that one shooting, like during that period. It was in Detroit, and we know where that's at, and we've had people go there. We send people to Henry Ford. We send them to Haven Wick. We send them to all these. We send them out if they get COVID or they get injured or they come in. Or something, we can't accept children because it's supposed to be an 18 and up clinic. So they get sent to there. So there's multiple things that,
Can they even call it the same place? Because I know that they had
dude, it's
some
a
legal
fucking,
issues when I was there.
No, it's a bank. It was a bank that got converted. It's a glorified office building.
Yeah, because...
that's all it is.
Yeah, I went in there when I was, I think I was 8 or something like that. Yeah, I had to have been about 8 years old. And they dropped me off there, and the motherfuckers ended up keeping me. They're like, yeah, you might have dropped off a worthy specimen.
I don't know, because they don't accept anybody over the age of 20. Even if they like brought somebody that had a kid, they're like, no, the kid has to go wait in the car. And the adults got to like be in there.
See, that's probably because
we've had teenagers
there.
We've had homeless people come in
on Thorazine, bro.
Here's the cops. The cops
torture.
Drop you off. I mean, they might have changed it, but that wasn't a child clinic. It might have been somewhere else.
No, it was called Havenwick.
No. This is Cope.
Oh yeah,
Cope is a 21 up. No, we sent people to Havenwick.
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard stories too, man. Even before.
And you know what? To top it off, like, because I was there for 7 or 8 months, maybe even longer. But I'm pretty sure it was like almost, for sure, it was almost a year. But I think it was like 7 months. But that whole time I was in there, I couldn't do any kind of recreational activities because my grandma didn't drop me off with like sports shoes. She dropped me off in hush puppies.
Dude, I'm telling you, I feel bad for that one
or whatever
girl
they're called
that was there from fucking. I mean, for like 2/3 of a year, because they didn't have the facility that made her, and she had been raped by people. I'm sorry, she had been graped. She'd been graped. She had been graped by the rapist.
The rapist.
But no, but on a serious note, she's been raped. She had a kid. Kid's been put up for adoption. She had been beaten. She was in a different place. She was abused. She literally had like the mind of a 5-year-old and a hair-trigger temper. She would snap. She's broken people's phones. She's crapped on walls. She is broken out multiple times. She's gotten naked. She's done so much stuff. And the one thing that she does need to be in a facility. That I do know. She doesn't need to be an animal.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why she would get set off. I mean, people were like, her birthday's coming up, and she's got to spend it here. She's going to be on it tomorrow. We watched the Super Bowl with her, and she had flipped out prior, and she almost got out the door, and we just have to drag her back in. Once she gets out the second door, all we can do is just call the cops. And we've had people get out. We've had people that go through the office building because idiots left the door open. The stupid doctor left the door open one time, and the 6-foot guy got out, and he ended up going, like, everybody went after him and shit, but, no, she had been, she was an animal. That's all I could describe it. I mean, imagine being on house arrest, and you literally can go from one end of the room to the other, or to your bed. That was it.
Yeah, no,
had she have never, like, escaped a few times, she's probably had within that period, maybe, like, fresh air. She's probably, in a room. Like, felt fresh air and saw sunlight with her own eyes outside. Probably like 3 times, and that was when she escaped. Then she was brought back. The only other times was she had been pumped full of so much drugs to calm her down, to put her to sleep, because that's, like I said, they don't, here's what I don't like about, antidepressants. And I'll get back to the story, but they're not meant to, like, balance the chemicals in your brain. They're meant to make you so tired that you don't want to get up and go scuba diving. Or do something to yourself in any way of harmful. Or, like I said, you're so worn down that all you do is sleep.
Yeah, no.
Or you just lay there, and you're so weak, and it's like your mind is like floating in a pool on a pool floaty.
I'm
that
sure
you just don't think or feel.
The drug Seroquel.
It doesn't go away.
I watched a dude that like used to like have manic episodes that were so bad he'd just hug his knees and rock back and forth for like hours.
Mm-hmm. We had that.
They fed him Seroquel, and he was fine. He would, like, just calm down, right? But one day, I was like, man, let me see what these Seroquel all about, bro. Me and my friend Shadow took him. She was a lesbian. And, she was a manlier version, the masculine version.
Yeah.
And, anyways, that's relevant to the story because when we took this, I passed out on my front porch, and I was literally in the middle of Southwest Detroit, passed out on my porch. I'm surprised nobody took everything in my pocket.
Your body is so worn down, it's like when you see a machine shut down.
Shadow, on the other hand, passed out underneath the viaducts on the way to McDonald's and got raped.
Jesus.
Yeah, and that fucked her up. She moved, like, very shortly after that, and I feel terrible, but, like, it was her decision. She's the one that talked me into getting the shit.
Like I said, it doesn't make you better. It just shuts you up. That's all it is. It's just so the people around you don't have to hear about it, and you're so tired you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, one time I read the bottle of the shit they were giving me when they were hitting me in my arm. It was fucking Thorazine.
It's not a miracle maker, and at the same time, it's like you really got no one to talk to, because if you say the wrong thing or the wrong words or something, then boom, that's what happens. If I had someone to talk to back then, that would have been different. What really fucked me up is now I have, like, a great support group. I have friends. Like, even during those 2 weeks that I was, like, in a bad place and stuff, I had an amazing girlfriend who was supportive. Shout out to Jessica. And I had friends like text me and stuff, and I just wasn't responding, and I wouldn't even pull up my phone. If I did, I'd just go on YouTube. If I got a message, I'd just get like, okay, swipe. Don't even want to talk to people. Don't even want to be around people. Because if I did, then I'd start going off on my thing. And I call it the dark cloud. And I just, go into that dark mindset, and I'd start talking about scuba diving, and, things would be better. And people would be like, well, you have, you have this and this and this. I go, no, it's not that I don't have this. It's that right now I got a war going on inside my own head. Where when you say it like that, it sounds like you're like crazy, like, you're going to do something horrible to other people, or you're going to, no, it's just a war inside your head where it's like depression and, self-harm. And I showed my arm, I'm not trying to show it off again for the camera, because it's not something that I'm trying to like promote, like, oh yeah, that's how I do it. And people are like, well, you shouldn't do it. It's like, well, you know what? That would be great. I would love to not do it, but then I'd flip out, then I'd cause a scene. Then it might happen in public, could happen in private. And then either if I don't have my pills nearby, or I don't take the pill that day because I want to go out with friends the night before and want to go drink and stuff, when I'm with friends, I'm fine. It's happened a couple times at work. It happens mostly at home when I'm in my thoughts, and what's up? And that's when it happens. Like, well, why do you cut your arm open? Because it's literally like when you have a pressure valve, and there's always like that cliche thing in the movies, like, we have to shut down the pressure valve, and then they turn it, then it just goes tss. That's what it does. Like, and it's like that moment where you feel pain, you feel like something different, and it hurts, and it is pain, but it's like a different.
I've heard people describe it like that.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate to have an outlet.
Like I said, if I talked about it, sometimes I'd ramble, sometimes I'd go on for hours, and I'm not trying to do that to people, and I'm not trying to be like, oh no, we don't want to hang out with Chris because he's gonna be on his bullshit, he's gonna be doing that. No, like I said, I do drink a lot more, this year and stuff compared to last year, and last year I never really drank. I didn't drink before that either. I'd go to the bar here and there with buddies and, drink a fun. Now it's like drinking to numb the pain. And I'm not an alcoholic because my last drink was 2 days ago, and I had maybe like 6 glasses. Like, that's usually like what I usually drink, is like 6 glasses of this type of drink. And it's to get fucked up. And it is just to feel a little bit better. And people are going to go, oh, well, alcohol is not the answer. No, but you know what? It numbs me better, and it makes me feel better than a fucking pill would.
Hold on.
What's up?
Scientific fact. Alcohol is a solution. Like, it's a solvent.
It helps me.
No, it's a solvent. Alcohol is a solvent, which you would call a solution.
There's been a couple times where I mixed my medication with my pills. Nothing
For my alchemist out there, you guys got it.
But I did it within like a span of like 4 hours from each other, so I don't even know if it like counts, or I don't know how that stuff works. But if you ever played Dead Rising,
which one is that?
Number 2, the one with
how's the game played?
You're basically like survival mode. You have to wait for a helicopter to come by.
When the game starts, like, what's the first thing that happens?
You're doing something, and then like a zombie breaks out. There's like different characters and different.
When you die, do you like respawn somewhere near with nothing?
Unless you save the game, you basically build up a level, and the higher the level, the more like powerful you are, and the more your health grows. But there's basically the first one is about the zombie outbreak, and then they manage to find the cure for it, and they build a prototype cure. The second one is basically people that are infected or got bit, they have to take something called Zombrex, and if you don't take it every 48 hours or 24 hours, you basically become a zombie. And so these people, and it starts becoming from like survival to like corrupted governments, conspiracy stuff, to where it's like they purposely make zombie apocalypse happen.
Anybody that's watching this, how many of y'all would try Zombrex?
You can buy it.
I'll say that shit sounds
they have the pen. They have a pen, the promotional pen that they put out, and they called it Zombrex. It was actually kind of cool.
I don't know how you consume it, but motherfuckers be doing bath salts and eating people's face. You might as well do Zombrex.
Well, I'm saying like they have a pen.
We're looking for sponsors. Come on, Zombrex, hit us up.
But basically, okay, the gist of it is like the government was letting out like zombie outbreaks, and then they'd come and neutralize the area because the zombies would eventually have a parasite in them, and it release these slugs, which become queens, which get made into Zombrex. Yeah, if you crush a queen, it like lets out like an ultrasound or something, and it makes the zombies' heads blow up. But it lives inside of them, and then you capture it. And they were using like the venom or something in it that was being used to make the medicine. They said we need queens, lots of them and stuff, and so that's why they have. It went from being like this to conspiracy to, the government controlled it and all this shit. It's a good game. It really is a great series, good game. I would stop after 3. 4 is kind of a disappointment, but 1 is a certified hood classic. 2 is like the Saints Row 2 or 3 of the fucking
shit
of like the series. Like number 2 is kind of like what kind of makes it come into its own, like Saints Row 2 to Saints Row 3, and then
another game would just below my radar.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
What, play it? It's fun.
It's too late now.
No, it's not. It's never too late.
There's some games I just can't go back. The graphics are too terrible.
I don't give a shit when you have a nostalgia day. Either way. I've been playing Saints Row 2.
I can't lie. Sometimes I play Command and Conquer Red Alert 2. That's ancient.
But let me get back to the point before we end up jumping on video games. Why am I bringing up Dead Rising? It's for this one line. There's a character, and her name is Stacy, I believe. And I think it was her sister that she got infected and she got bitten. And then she basically had to rely on the drug. And she eventually, schmilled? She smelled herself or whatever.
Oh yeah.
How do you say it? How do you Smurf say it?
Hey, you schmoodicide.
She basically went scuba diving because she didn't want to live her life day to day on a drug. And that's what I was like, I didn't need to take drugs before this.
And look, for anybody that's coming in here and don't know what we're talking about when we say scuba diving, scuba dive rhymes with. All right, now you dirty.
How did Kurt
bastard.
Cobain die? How did Robin Williams die? How did basically look up the how they died and then you'll know the answer.
Yeah, they scuba dived.
Yeah,
scuba diving's it's an art. Okay, my bad. Anyway. So yeah, let's get back to it.
But so that's why it's like I don't take the pills every day. And there'll be times where I have dark clouds and stuff. And do the pills kind of numb it? Yes. But do I have to go lay down sometimes? Yeah. I have 2 types of pills. I have these little white ones that, I can function day to day. The reason why is also because if I take these pills every day, then my body will get used to it. Then I'll have to have something stronger. Then I'll end up either having to take more. Then boom, you either got accidental overdose or addiction. And I don't want to live my life that way. I want to be able to, I can't drink tonight. I got to take my pill. Well, no, I can drink tonight because if I drink, it makes me feel good. And maybe if I drink too much, I'll get a hangover, but I know my limit. I know when the buzz kicks in. All right, just keep it like this. Maybe feel good. If you got nothing going on the next day, get fucking drunk. You'll regret it tomorrow, but who cares? You're having fun now. Very rarely have I gotten like hangovers and like super drunk. But at least I could like play video games and be happy and like actually smile. And that's like the only time I'm, other than like how I am right now, like genuinely happy, not scuba diving thoughts or anything like that or depression. And, like I said, when that dark cloud does come and my girlfriend knows we've had conversations and stuff and I felt bad, I don't want to open up about this stuff because of that reason. And it was like, it made me angry because it felt like, I was fine. I wasn't like okay, but I was fine to where I could still go to work. I could still function. But it was because of my fucking family and their bullshit. And then work wasn't that bad if I didn't have to come home to a family, if I had a break, but I didn't have a break. And then I had lack of sleep. And then my sister was not only the cherry on top, but she opened the whole jar of cherries and dumped it right on top. And that's when you just kaboom, I blew up. And that's basically what happened. You're not going to have 4 hours, but go back and listen to the whole story. Just fast forward to when we're talking about dicks and religion and all this bullshit, and you'll know like the whole story of what built up to that. But, I ended up in the hospital. I went missing basically for 2 weeks. I mean, my coworkers texted me when I turned my phone on 2 weeks later, and they're like, "Where are you? You were supposed to come in." Nobody knew. Nobody knew what happened. The only person that knew was my boss. And I mean, he didn't say anything to anybody, but eventually I had to like type out like, I got arrested. And I only was able to take down certain numbers. So I had like a list of numbers, and there was only a few people that I knew where I was at, but it was really scary because I went missing basically. And, other than the people that I contact, like, nobody was like, hey, where the fuck is Chris? Where the fuck is Chris? And that kind of fucked me up at some point, because it was like, I could end up getting schmurdered by somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like, who the fuck would come looking? This is before I dropped some people too. I fucking, I've gotten new friends. I mean, there was some good that came out of this, but not on their end, not on the mental health end, not on any of that. So I go to the hospital and they started asking me all these questions. Do you think about scuba diving? Are you thinking about it right now? No. When was the last time you thought about it? In 2011, 2012, when I lost my nephew. Have you ever thought about hurting somebody? When I was a teenager, when you're angry and full of rage and you lose your nephew and he dies in a messed up accident, something that could have been prevented, and then you go to school and people are fucking with you, you want to think about ways to hurt people. And then eventually, like I said, I grew up, I mellowed out. I didn't have, like, this isn't something that, like, 1 year ago I stopped these thoughts. Like, no. Like, once I, became more, like, 14, 15, I got into more music. I got into more, like, stuff like that. And that is when, when I, like, mellowed out and stopped having those thoughts. And, wanted to make music and write a book or just do stuff. I mean, I used to play around with the camera. I mean, it was a joke because I used to wear the trench coat in high school. And people were like, why do you wear the trench coat? Well, 1, I was very self-conscious about my body. So I just wanted to cover it up. And I'm like, that's perfect. 2, I like the gothic shit. Matrix, Crow, anything with a trench coat. And 3, and I always joke about this, people used to always fuck with me. But the minute I walked in wearing a trench coat, Brandon, they don't fuck with you no more. They just kept their mouth shut. I mean, they keep it to themselves. And it's the darnest thing. If you're ever getting bullied at school, or you have a kid and they're gonna buy him a trench coat, and all of a sudden, you'll have peace and quiet, and people will leave you alone.
Walk down the
They'll
street
leave
with
you
a
alone.
snake on your shoulders. You get a similar result. People usually leave you the fuck alone. You got a snake or a trench coat.
Well, trench coat, definitely.
It'll probably beat both of those.
They'd stop you at the door if you walked in with a snake. But trench coat, they're just like, they give you like the oh shit look.
What if you have a katana and a flamethrower strapped to your back? That'd make some motherfuckers get out your way.
Put on a fucking scorpion mask.
All right.
Back on the subject. Basically, they were asking all these questions, and I was just giving them honest answers. It wasn't like something I felt the thing. They're like, well, did you say this? I go, yeah, out of anger. They're like, how do you feel now? I go, I mean, I'm pretty tired because I just blew up. My blood pressure's high, and it's coming down, so now I'm just kind of tired. And they're like, okay. And then they did blood work. They did COVID tests. Okay, standard shit, whatever. Get your, little checkup on me and, do all that stuff. And it went from that to when he came back, they go, now, in the last podcast, I told you the last time I had a drink was St. Patrick's Day. And I only had like 2 drinks because we had gotten out of work early and late. And they only had like an hour left at the bar. And I was sitting there talking to a friend, and I only had 2 drinks. They weren't strong drinks either. I wasn't like buzzed or fucked up or nothing. And I got arrested April 8th. I had not had 1 drink in that period. I hadn't had time. We get out late, bars be closed, or they'd be doing last call, and I'm like, well, there's no point. If I want to go to a bar, I don't want to go for just 1 drink. I want to go in there and, have a reason to drink, just like, oh, it's the weekend or, something. I want to get drunk or get a little buzzed and then, have nothing to do the next day and just sleep it off. So he came back in, he goes, we found alcohol in your system. And then, not only that, but this asshole calls my mother up. And I believed it at first, and he calls up my mother, and he asked why I was here. I go, well, my mother called the cops. And he basically got in there, and he was talking to her about guardianship for me and everything. And she goes, no, he's just upset. He has stuff going on right now that's going to make it worse. Basically taking away my freedom to where I'm almost, I would no longer be an adult. I'd have to, she would have control over my finances and everything. So my mom is real. It's like, she goes, no, that's not happening. And he was like pushing her to do it. And she goes, I'm not doing that. She goes, I'm driving right now. I can't really talk. And that was it. So it was like a 5-minute phone call. He kept trying to do the guardianship. And he asked me, and he was asking me like, well, why don't you move out of the house? I go, one, I don't have that much cash at the time. I mean, I was loaning my money out to my parents, didn't have a fucking savings, and everyone else I knew at the time lived at home with their folks, and I'm not going to fucking burden myself and crash on their couch and do all that shit, It's one thing to, like, spend the night at somebody's house, but to live there, you definitely overstay your fucking welcome, So I'm like, well, I'm going to end up leaving soon anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. And they go, so he gets on the phone. This guy was a snake. Now, okay, real quick, Brandon, am I allowed to show the guy's face, or am I allowed to show his name? Am I allowed to tell his name?
I wouldn't do either one of those. That's doxing.
Damn it. You're not even like doctor and then last name?
Nah, I mean, you could just rhyme with it.
I can't. It's an Indian dude.
Oh, yeah, well.
He spoke in this robotic, monotone voice, which irritated the shit out of me to this day. This guy was a short Indian dude with glasses, a couple years older, and he looked around my age. And he had like this blank stare, and he something wasn't right about him, Like, he literally, like, talked like in those sci-fi movies where, like, the person with all the power, but he's just, like, not mentally all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do, like, a good impression or something, but he would talk like this. He would have this sort of voice where he would, So, he comes in, he tells my mother that, he goes, I just talked to your mother. And I said, and I looked at her and I was pissed. I was like, oh, what the fuck does she have to say? What is she, going on about and like exaggerating and making a big deal of? He goes, well, she said some pretty disturbing things about you, that you wanted to schmill others and schmill yourself. Basically, like 9/11 or whatever that, something, mass schmooting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to censor, but it's like I'm not. It reminds me of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Shmoney has a nightmare. But basically, he comes in, and he says all this stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, we also found alcohol in your system. And I said, okay, this is becoming bullshit. So when he was asking me about the person's, to not move out, he was trying to get me in some kind of fucking group home. I said, dude, I have a bed. What are you doing? And I'm questioning this shit, and then here's the thing, he doesn't sit there and talk to me. He doesn't sit there and try to give me an answer. He turns around and just walks out. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? There's no alcohol in my system. There's no drugs in my system. I went peacefully. I went with the cops peacefully. I went here peacefully. I did what I was told. And now I'm being told that I'm this terrorist, a suicidal fucking bomber pretty much, or whatever, mass schmooter. And now all of a sudden I have alcohol in my system. There's alcohol, in my liver they found. And I'm like, this shit isn't even true. And I'm like, now my mom's saying this crap, and he's trying to get me in some kind of fucking group home. Like, where the hell am I going? So, other than that, I was just brought like this, hospital food sucks. Everybody knows that. I was just brought like a fucking shitty ass fucking thing of noodles. And I'm like, I'm not eating this. I'm not even hungry. So there was nothing to do but sit and watch TV. Okay? Because in between that, they did the blood work. Every hour they'd have to do a fucking, that thing where they put on your arm and squeeze blood pressure. And they're like, oh, your blood pressure's off the charts. I'm like, oh, you think? So it's like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is stupid. I got to be at work. I have to work. My taxes are due soon. I owe on my taxes. I know that. I had hit a fucking hand pay back in 2020 when I got my vaccination. I celebrated. I went to the casino the first time by myself, and I lost, and I was down to $35, and I went over to this machine. I said, well, you know what? I know how to get here on my own. If I hit something, I take it home. If not, well, I had fun regardless. Literally put it in, set it to $1 bet, 6 spins I was in, and then, ball drop, and then the second ball and the third ball drop, and if you get 3 balls, you get free games, but the third ball was the grand. So I got that plus free games, so I won $12,000. I didn't take taxes out of it. I didn't know about that. So I went home that night with $12,000, which I bought vintage Pokemon packs, which I showed you in my first episode with you guys. You know, I brought the stuff and I showed you guys the vintage packs, the Venusaur packs and the Charizard pack. And, you know, but I still owed on that. So that was what I was trying to save up money for. And meantime, my parents are keep borrowing. I go, guys, tax season's coming up soon. I got to do my fucking taxes. You know? I was going from job to job trying to find employment during that time. But I still had to pay my phone bill, still had to get groceries, still had to, you know, in the meantime, they're borrowing and all this shit. So, you know, I needed to get my taxes done. That had to be done. And I found a job where I was able to pay my taxes with one of my paychecks. But, you know, instead of saving it up, I had to give it to them. So, fast forward to now, I'm like, can I just, like, get a fucking referral to, like, a therapist's office and get on some, like, antidepressants and maybe some sleep medication so I could actually get some sleep so my dad's not waking me up with this shit and I could just sleep through it. And no, we're going to keep you here for 2 weeks. And I'm just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I'm going to miss the tax season, the deadline. I'm going to miss the fucking... No, I think they extended it, but by then I didn't go back to work. Once I got out, I was embarrassed and I was just so, like, anti-mental health. I'm like, I can see why these people not only come back, they go once, they come back again. I had a buddy.
You know, the Joker kind of opened up a lot of people's mind to how shitty the mental health is.
I know. Here's the thing. I don't like to... I love the Joker. Comic book-wise, character-wise, I love it. But when that fucking movie dropped, The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger, fantastic actor, amazing movie, one of my favorites. I hated how people who had actual mental problems were then not taken as seriously because all these fuckers, and I know it's ironic that the fact that I have scars on my arm, that I didn't, I mean, in high school when the little emo kids and everybody was showing off their scars, I thought that was stupid. We had a guy that was trying to act like the Joker. His name was Eric. The guy was a total idiot. And he would try to be the Joker, and he would cut his arm and, like, rub lotion in it, and he would make jokes about Sandy Hook and all this crazy. He got suspended for that Sandy Hook joke because he got misinterpreted, and he ended up getting expelled. He came back, became an even bigger dick. But basically, everybody suddenly wanted to be the Joker, and it was cool to be crazy. And, you know, that's why I kind of roll my eyes when I see all these fucking edgelords and stuff wearing, you know, when they commit a crime. Like the guy in the Tokyo subway smoking a cigarette, you know, after he stabbed people, or the guy that did the Aurora Theater schmooting. You know, all these people that do stuff and then say that they're the Joker. They're stupid. I mean, I watch it. It's entertaining to just watch people make an idiot of themselves, but it's also like watching daytime talk show. You know, the two guys that were trying to be the Joker and out-Joker each other. Like, I'm not going to diss anybody that likes Joker. The Joker's an amazing fucking complex, well-written villain. You know, one of the best villains up there with Thanos and Vader.
Just trying to refer to that scene when he was trying to explain his mental case to his or his mental state to his therapist, and she was just like, "Well, I can't do nothing for you."
Sorry, I went on the little soapbox there for a minute.
Oh, you're good. Yeah,
but no, I'm just like making
that kind of wraps it up for you. That kind of shows you exactly what the fucking shits be like.
When Batman came out, 2008 was a good year for Batman because Arkham Asylum just dropped. You had Mark Hamill doing the Joker in that game, which was fantastic. And then you had Heath Ledger's amazing performance, you know, but, you know, and the Joker became an icon and Batman became an icon because you didn't really see much about it beforehand. Batman Begins didn't get a fucking, like, huge fucking crowd like Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises had. So, you know, like I said, amazing performance, amazing character, but I get annoyed when people try to be the Joker. You know, it's like it's cool to be crazy. It's not fucking cool to be crazy. You know, doing wild shit like Steve-O and stuff like that, like, that's cool, but, like, if you're trying to be the fucking Joker, that shit's cringe. The Joker quotes on Facebook and all that shit, to me, that's cringe. Now it's like, you know, anytime somebody brings up society or something, everybody goes, oh, we live in a society and shit. It's, you know, it's became like a meme. So, but what sucks is there's actually people that are suffering from mental health, and they're like, oh, you're the fucking Joker. Because, like I said, mental health comes in all shapes and sizes. It could just be scuba diving thoughts, or it could be like you hear voices like that Santa Claus guy. He was a dude. He was like a stand-up guy. Could have been your next door neighbor. You would have never guessed it. I read his file, and that's what it was on there. And the whole time he was in there, he did not display any of those tendencies. Maybe he had an incident. He took himself to the hospital. You know, he kind of morally knew like something was fucked up. You know, and maybe he was not on the right medication. Maybe he didn't have medication for it. Maybe they had to reset the balance in his head before they let him go. You know, because we're not there to keep people forever. That one girl, she was only kept there because people were kept there for like maybe 3 weeks at most. Since I was there, one time when I left, quit for a week, came back, and the people were still there, and I was so fucking like surprised by that. That was right before the arrest. That's why I was like, wow. But the you know, like I said, we're not there to keep you forever. You know, if you're in there for medication, you're only in there for like a few hours, maybe at most 5 or 6, depending on how the day is. Then you're out of there. And we had this guy come in. He was acting like he was in prison and shit. And oh my God, he was a little asshole. But that's for another day. You know what I mean? That's for another podcast because I don't want to get into like a long story. I'm trying to get back to the story without jumping into different spots and branching out and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm back in the hospital, and you know, like I said, I'm in the hospital, and now I'm stuck there for 2 weeks. And like I said, I'm cleaning up after myself. I'm doing this. What's fucked up is like I have not had a shower. You know, I wasn't able to take a shower and shit, and there is no human interaction. I said, I'm not going out of my room because I know there's people out there that I've, you know, was at Cope, you know, and I took care of there. And it's going to look really fucking stupid if they go, oh, hey, Chris, how you doing? You know, oh my God, you work here too? Oh, actually, no, I'm an inpatient. Oh, yeah. You know, if I, like, you know how like ironically, stupidly ironic it is? It's funny if you're not that person. But I am that person, so it's to me, it's not that funny. It's really fucking fucked. Like, I've never heard anybody with this story. I've never heard anybody with this, you know, other than like a cop getting arrested, you know what I mean? And getting like arrested by another cop. Like that to me, I've seen that, and it's like, that's the only thing I can compare it to. And that's the ironic part is I hate cops, you know? So to compare it to that is a little self-insulting. But the you know, like I never wanted to leave my room, and they're like, why don't you leave your room? Why do you keep the lights off? Because I don't want someone to see me here. I'm embarrassed. You know, this is bullshit. My family did this. You know, I'm like, they did this for fun. They got their kicks, you know. And I'm now in a hospital. You know, this is bullshit. Like, this is the one thing I was trying to avoid happening, and it did. And I'm involuntarily. I can't own a gun now. I can't do certain things. You know, I basically have beware of dog over my fucking head until I get this off my record. And it is on my record. And I will get to that. But I'm sitting there, and you know, they're like, they're you know, I'm not being able to take a shower. I'm wearing the same clothes. My bed sheets aren't fucking, like, I was wearing underwear. That's it. Like, I had no shirt. I had no pants. I had nothing. I had those little hospital socks, but that was it. The stickiness started to fucking get off. All I could do was watch TV, dip out and go to the bathroom when there was nobody out there. And during that time, there were 3 things that really, like, still affect me to this day. The light in my room. I don't know if you guys have ever been in like an office building or something, or just sit in a room where it's like super quiet, and then you could actually like hear like the electricity going through the light bulb, and you could tell like there's a loose wire or something, and you hear like that zzz, 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 or like a clicking noise. There was this clicking noise, and it only happened if I turned the lights off. So I had to keep the lights on. My bed's cemented to the ground. We have this like pipe thing, like the air vent is right above the bed. I can't like move over and shit. It would blast cold air right onto the bed every 30 minutes. It would just shoot down every 30 minutes, blast just cold ass air on you. So You have that. You have that.
No, when I was locked up in Dickerson, the one thing that it drove me fucking bonkers is the goddamn light in the jail cell wouldn't go off. Like, it just a 24/7 white ambient light.
Like, I have fallen asleep. No, like, the light didn't bug me. I had fallen asleep with the light, but the light was right next to the air vent, so it's right there. And you can't turn your body, because if you turn your body, boom, your leg hits the steel bar, and it's, like, cold as fuck, so you're, like, shot. It, like, wakes you awake. All right, now keep in mind, I'm running on lack of sleep. So, I only had, like, one fucking day of sleep in there. And because every time I turned my body, shock, shock, it wasn't like electrocuting me. It was like the cold shock, the cold metal. And then I had the wind blowing in your face. I had the light clicking. And then if I watched TV to try to take my mind off all that, the fucking every commercial. I wanted to see this movie, The Northman. But now I never want to see that movie. I like Viking shit or, medieval. I don't know what it is exactly. It looked like Viking or medieval or something. Or I don't know. But I was just like, I think it was Viking. But every 15 minutes, the 3 commercials would play. Try the new Batman calzone. Try Little Caesars pizza stuffed pizza. I keep saying 3s, but it's always in 4s. My bad. Try the pizza crust Batman calzone, because they were promoting it for that movie, The Batman. The pizza crust, is it too cheesy? The Johnny Cash Panda Express, I think it was shrimp, like fired shrimp or something, and they were singing Ring of Fire, which I love that song, but I cannot, now I think about the psych ward because of it. Or The Northman. Every time, witness the rise of the Northman. Witness the rise of the Northman. It was all on repeat. Everything on repeat. That's one of the things that really irritates me is repeat. My father does it. I can't stand repetitive shit.
Yeah, well,
So it's doing this for like 5-6 days straight. And then not only that, so I can turn off the TV and leave the light on. Or I leave the light off and turn the TV on and it's the same commercials. And it's like, well, can't you turn it down? No, you can't turn it down. It's set to a certain volume. You know what I mean? And if you were able to get the volume down, you still got click, 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 click. You got the light in your face, or you got the TV on. You got the cold air blasting. You got the shock of the metal. And then you got the fucking people in every room screaming their heads off. Because it's split. If you go in there for involuntarily, they know you're capable of being, like not left alone, like you can't leave. But until you're seeing a doctor and get diagnosed by a psychiatrist and stuff, and like at any point you can say, I want to go home now. You could leave. I was brought in involuntarily. The minute those cops signed those papers, I was not allowed to leave the hospital. I couldn't just say, fuck this. I'm out. I quit. I don't want to. No, because then I would have been stopped the door. I would have been pushed back in. You know what I mean? So that's why I said I'll just do what I'm told. Hopefully I can get out and get this involuntarily thing off and have it reversed. Do you have any tissues or something, man?
Not that I...
Sorry, I'm just like... Unplug the fuck up, man. This pollen is killing me.
Yeah.
Here. Play a track. I'm gonna go grab some tissues real quick in my car. Sorry, I had to go blow my nose because this pollen in the fucking air is killing me. I'm allergic to both dandelions and that the yellow shit in the ground.
And there's plenty of that shit.
And then when that cotton shit's floating in the air, I'm allergic to that too. So that was really fun to explain to people during COVID time.
All right, so let's get to the next chapter in this tale.
Yeah, so back at it. I have all this bullshit. Now, I know this part's going to be gross, but I might as well just say it. So, your dogs are nipping. You know how if you wear underwear and you get skid marks sometimes?
Yeah, it's happened.
Okay, so the only time...
Hold on.
I know, I lost.
Hold on, I gotta say this. If you out there pretend like you ain't never seen one...
Yeah, don't even fucking...
Don't lie to yourself.
You ain't no fucking saint.
Yeah, for ain't nobody that fucking talented. Unless you got a bidet, then maybe. I don't know.
Excuse me. Oh, I love these dogs, but god damn.
Pepper, Jazzy, come on.
There's Jazzy. This little shit's just jumping all over me, loving. I mean, she's so lovable. I can't get mad at her for loving.
They're usually not in here, but...
No, it's alright.
Come here, Jazzy.
You just want that sweet, sweet attention.
Come here, little fuck. Come here.
You gotta get them on the podcast one day. Just them.
Oh, their asses.
Alright, so back at it. Okay, so the reason why I bring up skid marks is I had not had a shower, for like 5 days. And it got to the point where like my head was super itchy, scratching and picking the dandruff out, and it was hell. But every time I used the bathroom, that was the only time I left the room. And, you could be perfect as possible, but you can't you're sitting in that bed 24/7, and that bed starts to smell, and you see like little marks in the mattress, because once I took off my underwear, because it was just wearing the same clothes for 5 days straight, the only underwear that you have, it's going to smell. Took that shit off, and they took it, because it was just sitting on the table. They just took it, and then boom, I'm naked. I was given... They didn't have any hospital pants, those little fucking string pants that look like baggies and shit. All I had was a gown. The gown was about a medium. I wear a 2X. All they had was a medium. The underwear that they had, I asked them, can I have some underwear? They gave me like a fucking small underwear. And it like crushed my balls and everything. I'm like, this thing won't fit. They looks at me, goes, eh. And he just walks away, goes, that's all we have. So I'm like, so what now? So I'm pissed off because I'm sitting here picking at my fucking head, can't sleep, being told all this bullshit, have it on my, more stuff added to my like fucking file, Now it's a doctor saying this shit.
I love you.
Can you send me letting it work? It's one of my songs.
Yeah.
God damn. Alright. Are we still live?
Yep.
Alright. So I got all this shit going on. So he comes over and goes, hey, your mom was on the phone. She wants to talk to you. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to fucking lay into this bitch. Because I was so fucking irritated at that point. I'm like, my life is over at this point. If they look this shit up, and I called it, I'm not going to be able to go to school. I'm not going to be able to find a good job. Nobody's going to want to fucking hire me. And if I go to court, it's my word over a doctor's and a cop. Who the fuck's going to believe my ass?
Yeah.
So I blow up at her. And she's, like I said, she's got this high and mighty fucking attitude. Well, I saved you that day. You should be thanking me. You're so ungrateful, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do realize what you fucking did? I work at a psych ward. I've seen people here that I know. And I'm telling them about all the shit that's going on. They're like, well, we brought you clothes and we brought you shampoo and we brought you this and we brought you candy. I go, this isn't a fucking summer camp. It's not a fucking hotel. I haven't had and while I'm saying this shit, and I told her, I said, here's the thing. I can't blow up at you. I am so fucking angry with you right now. I just want to blow up, but I can't because guess what? I'll get put in restraints. They'll cut this phone off. You know what I mean? They're going to cut the phone off and they're going to put the restraint. They have a kill switch on the phone. So we didn't have that at Cope. And so Jazzy, no. No, Jazzy, down. No.
Come on.
That's all right. She just wants lovin's. I'm not. No, Jazzy. So while I'm telling my mom about what's going on in here and shit, I'm like, I haven't been able to take a shower. I've been picking at my hair. I got all this shit going. I mean, I'm like, do I got bugs in my hair? I don't fucking know. While I'm saying all this shit, I go, they took my clothes. I didn't even know that my parents brought me clothes. I said, I'm walking around now. I'm wearing a fucking poop, like, I want to say poop stain, but like skid mark stained bed sheet. You know?
Yeah.
I'm wearing that as like sort of like this like toga thing. Because that's all I could use. I said, the nurses and doctors don't talk to me. They wake me up every hour to take my blood pressure. And if I try to do like conversation with them, they don't. And what really fucked me up about that is like, I can see why dogs get excited when you walk in the room. Anytime that door opened, I was like, oh my God, finally a human interaction. Because my only interaction was the TV. The only way I was able to find out what day it was because of the television. They had the old school cable. So you know, like the channel guide where it like shows you the channels going up and stuff, and it might have like the weather channel on it. It had the date and it had the time. That was the only way I could find out when the fucking date was. We had one nurse in there, and this was after the phone call. She came on the clock. But while I'm telling my mom about this dickhead security guard is like giving me like this look like I'll do it for the camera. He was doing this like he's sitting on like this stool thing across from me while I'm talking about the thing, and he's just giving me this like stare down like, you're not supposed to be telling people this stuff. You know? Nobody's supposed to know what goes on, and nobody does know what goes on behind these doors. And I was telling my mom about this shit. All of a sudden, my fucking phone gets disconnected. They cut it. They cut the phone. So I go back to the room. And I knew what they were doing. But remember, they're the ones in control. And it's scary because they could literally do anything back there. Nobody on the outside would know. Nobody knows what would happen. My mom didn't believe me. She thought I was just making this up or being dramatic. Which she comes to find out that it's very true. So this nurse comes in and she goes, you know, and she was the only nice person in that whole building. I don't know if she had a heart or if she was new and wasn't like, you know, used to the corrupted bullshit or like what's going on, but she was different from the other nurses. She was different from the other doctors. She was different from the security. She was telling me, she was really sweet. I don't know her name or anything. But she said, okay, I'm kind of confused. You're very quiet. You do what you're told. You don't resist. You don't, like, why are you here? I said, because I mentioned scuba diving. I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, I didn't, that's not why I'm there, because I wanted to go snorkeling. I said this, and she goes, I'm going to put in a request that you get reevaluated, because I'm like, yeah, it's been 5 days, and they're putting all this crap in and saying I have alcohol in my system, and none of this is true, and, like, it's like nobody believes a word I say, like, as if, like, I'm in kindergarten. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you seen those cartoons where, like, the main character will flip out, and you got the parents, they go, oh, that's nice, dear. Mm-hmm. That's that attitude, but picture a monotone voice, like, mm-hmm, okay. And then if like, they will cut the conversation and they'll walk out. Like, while you're mid-sentence. You know? Not on some, like, tangent or bitching or anything like that or complaining. They will walk out mid-sentence because it's not the answer they wanted. You know? And like I said, when I brought up that at 13, I felt scuba diving or whatever, that was the answer. Okay, check. He is scuba diving. Did you ever have thoughts of, you know, that when I was younger, not now, when I was younger, well, check. I'll take that as a yes. Do you drink? Very rarely. I haven't had time to drink because of work. My last drink was St. Patrick's Day. Okay, you drink. Check. You have alcoholism. So that's like everything was checked off. Like, did you even listen? to what I just said, or are you just going with whatever the fuck you want to hear? And so, finally, the room is completely white, and I think it's Iraq or something, but it's somewhere in the Middle East. They have a thing called the white room. And a white room, if you're in a white room for such a short period of time, and for a long period of time, you start to go fucking crazy. So, literally, I'm just in this room for 5 days, going on 6, and I'm being told that I can be reevaluated. I'm like, well, that might not change anything, but hopefully I can get the fuck out if I can talk to somebody else. Talk to a different doctor. Well, guess what? I got to talk to a different doctor. It was a female this time. I don't know her name at all. I don't know her name. I don't even know what she looks like. She was about the same height. She had Arabic ethnicity. Because they all wore masks. You couldn't really see with their eyes. The only reason why I know the one doctor's name is because the stupid motherfucker left it on the papers as I was leaving. So I got his number, and I got his name, I got everything. There we go. Fucking pollen, man. So, she starts evaluating me. Well, who walks in other than the other doctor? And then I realize, they're both together on this shit. So they decide, no, we're going to keep you here for 2 weeks. And it's like, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? And I'm sitting there like in like a deep thought, like, not only is my life ruined, but they're adding more shit onto this to where I'm not going to be able to do shit outside of this. And they're like, oh, did, growing up, I was misdiagnosed of having seizures. So I had to be on seizure medication. I didn't have to take that medication after because the doctor was purposely misdiagnosing people. I can't talk about it fully because I did a settlement for it. That's all I can say. I can't bring up the hospital, the name, any of that shit. I can't. The only thing I'd say is I got a settlement. And that's why I said, no, I don't need to go to a group home. I'm getting a settlement soon. So that's why I said, no, I can just get my own place to live and all that shit. Blah, blah, blah. And I can get a nice job and a car and, I don't have to worry about, it's not like, oh, you're going to be rich, but it's going to be like, you'll be able to change your life. So, get a house, be able to go to school, get a car. And that's pretty much, that settlement would go, down a lot after. So, that's, when he's telling me he's going to put me in a group home, it's like, I don't need that shit. I don't need guardianship. I don't need any of that crap. But now it's like, I won't be able to get a good job. I don't want to go back to Cope. Cope said that that I can go back to work there. I don't want to go back there. It completely, we didn't treat people like this in Cope. We had rules and regulations and shit, and people did, thought they could go in and do whatever the fuck they want. I didn't go in with the attitude to do whatever the fuck I want. It was like, well, you were one of us at one point, but now you're not. So you're no longer equal to us. You're no longer anything. You're a patient and that's it. That's all you'll ever be now is a nut job pretty much. It's like there's no rehabilitation. There's no rehabilitation in this process. You just give them pills and ship them out, and who gives a fuck if they can find a job or if they can function. That's why you see these motherfuckers on the street screaming at stop signs and shit. When people take videos and they videotape this shit and they think it's funny, it's like when I was a teenager, yeah, it was funny. Look at this fucking crackhead or this. Pay attention, he might not be on drugs. He might be off his medication and not be able to get them, and might not be able to get help and he gets turned away or something. You know what I mean? So I no longer laugh at them. I pity the fuck out of them because they were probably normal at one point. And the thing that they went to hopefully thought that they could get help not only turned on them, but not only, either turned them away, but betrayed them. So the fact that I worked at Cope, a psych ward where we'd send patients to that place, St. Mary's Hospital, that was something that really fucked me up because no wonder we get these patients coming back to Cope. No wonder they got to be on medication. No wonder why it's their life didn't get better. It got worse. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we didn't do this shit at Cope. We added things that sounded so juicy and made it sound so much, where they made, fuck this guy's life up. I didn't have any prior convictions or arrest. I never did drugs, occasionally drank. And my life was fine. Other than having a shitty fucking family and a stressful job, I was fine. I had outlets. I had my Pokemon cards, video games, my book. I had stuff that I was working on, and I was just trying to find, a better job than Cope. But at the time, I was just staying for a paycheck to pay shit. And now it's like my life basically ended on April 8th. So when they did that, it was like that moment in the movie where like the character's like quiet, you know what I mean? And like kind of in the thoughts, but he can't think of anything. That was me right there. And I started to like basically lose my shit. I broke down crying. I realized that, my life was pretty much over, that my family did this to me. You go to mental health to try to get help, and they did this to you, and you're not going to be able to get out and do shit. So I got upset. I didn't get angry, but I started crying. And they came in the room, and the nurse was trying to calm me down, and the security guard from earlier who was staring me down was threatening to kick the shit out of me if I didn't stop crying. I had to shut up. And I basically just said, like, no, this is bullshit. I came in here, thought I was going to get help. I had the cops called on me. I was supposed to get a car, and I'm put in a fucking bed. I'm supposed to be working in a psych ward, and I'm in a fucking psych ward as a patient. And everybody else's lives is not affected, but mine is. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to have all this shit put in. You're saying that I have alcoholism, and then I'm going to, hurt others and hurt myself and do all this shit, and you're making me out to be this, and you're trying to stick me in this home. I haven't had a shower in fucking days. I'm picking my hair out because it's just like picking the dandruff out of my hair and shit, and I got shit stained all over the thing. And once I got off the phone with my mom, for some reason I was allowed to take a shower. That was the darndest thing. They allowed me to then take a shower. And not only that, but they allowed me to get my bed sheets changed. Because my mother was coming up there tomorrow to see me. I did not know about that, but she was supposed to. I didn't want to see her, but at that point, get me the fuck out of here somehow, some way. Yeah. I'll do anything to get the fuck out of here.
So, I know eventually this leads us to current day, so we'll bridge the gap.
All right. So, what they did was they threatened me, and they did all this. They were basically threatening to kick the shit out of me, which they do. They do that to people in there. I was laying low, I was quiet. Now I'm talking, so you hear people getting roughed up in the next room and shit, the ones that are like on drugs, tweaking and shit. They'll inject you with drugs to make you go to sleep, but if they want to, they'll rough you up, and they will. It depends on how amped up you are. I wasn't swinging my arms and like doing this and shit. I was laying in bed, faced up, just yelling, like, and they were just telling me to be quiet. They were like holding me down and stuff. And all I did was like bitch, all I did was just bitch about what was happening. And they were telling me to be quiet or they're going to start beating the shit out of me. I said, listen, asshole. He goes, no, you're in a fucking psych ward because you wanted to, yourself. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you, so just shut the fuck up and go to bed. Go to sleep. I said, I haven't been able to go to sleep. I haven't been able to do anything except sit in this goddamn bed and hear the same fucking commercials. And I was just repeating the commercials, and I talked about the light. I talked about, the poop stained fucking bed sheets. Talked about all this stuff. So it's, they're like, I'm like, you guys are saying that I have an alcohol problem and all this crap. You're putting all this shit in there. It doesn't matter what I say, because if I try to talk, you guys walk out of the room. So they're like, oh, so you just need to go to sleep then. And so they give me a fucking shot. They hold me down. And while I'm doing that, I'm yelling at these fucking people. I said, at that point, I broke. I was like, I don't believe in mental health anymore. I don't believe in therapy. I don't believe in anything. I'm no longer going to believe in mental health. I don't want to get help ever again. I don't care. I would rather go, and of course, this is something I've heard from other mental patients. I want to go live in the fucking woods like an animal because I'm not human. I realize that now. I'm not a fucking human in this world, and I'm not an equal to you. But I said, and I gave the security guard when I go, you better hear this good because I was you, asshole. I don't give a shit. You can sugarcoat it or shitcoat it, but I will tell you right now, I don't give a fuck. If something happens to me, I don't give a shit. I will defend myself, either from you or from anyone else in the next room or anybody. Nobody's gonna fucking, KILLED me or whatever, KIL me. But I'm just gonna spell it out. It's better than saying scuba diving and schmill and all that stuff.
I don't
because it's serious and it kind of like makes it not serious, and it's kind of like I said, like my face is getting red bringing this up. I'm not gonna have an episode because I'm at a friend's house and I'm being able to talk about this publicly for the first time. I've only told my girlfriend, I've told my buddy Paul, I've told my mother about this shit, because what I'm about to drop tonight is gonna be pretty big. So I was held down and I got injected with a B-52, the strongest fucking drug they have, because they just wanted me to stop talking and go to bed. I was talking too much. I let someone on the outside know what was happening, what the corrupted bullshit was going on. The people in there are getting fucking tortured right now as we speak. Nothing is being done. There's nothing has changed. And I was one of those guys. Now, I wasn't torturing people or injecting with drugs or none of that shit, but I was one of those guys, one of the orderlies. And seeing this shit done, like, really fucked me up. And I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to try to help people in mental health. And, it's a business. It's a business with insurance companies. And they don't give a fuck about people who have mental problems. You are a dollar sign, which is not like anything like new. Like, I've known that, but it's just to see it happen and have it happen to you, and knowing that you're not immune to it. You're not immune. People in the comments are not immune. It could happen to anybody. Once you're in there, once they get their fucking hooks into you and shit, you're underwater. You're stuck underwater. You're not coming back out the same. And I broke in that hospital, dude. I'm the reason why I am who I am today is because of that. Had I never went to that hospital, you would have had a whole other guy. We wouldn't be having this podcast. We'd be talking about Pokemon or, the Evil Dead and all that shit. We wouldn't be talking about this shit. I wouldn't be having these thoughts. I wouldn't be having these emotions. My life would have been different. It would have been better.
I can't lie. I really do want to talk about Evil Dead.
We will after, because I'm going to mend the thing, all right?
Yeah, no,
so,
Evil Dead was... All right, we'll get there.
All right, you're good. We'll get to the Evil Dead. I saw it too. But Hush you. Oh, Jazzy back there growling. Just trying to get some food. So I went to bed. I wake up and I'm so drugged up. I mean, I'm so doped up I can't move. Like, you're paralyzed. I don't know what like I said, it's the B-52. I mean, that's the shit that they use for, like, elephants and stuff, man. That's what they joked about when we were in the psych ward. They go, well, we have this thing called the B-52. I've only seen it done once, and the person was knocked out from night to day, and I did a double shift. This person was asleep when I walked in. He was asleep when I walked out. You'd think the guy was dead. So they call it a B-52. And they said it's pretty much a glorified animal tranquilizer that puts you to sleep. And I'm now finally, there's a bed available upstairs. I'm waiting in the wait. That was just the waiting part. That was just the waiting period. So while that is going on, I wake up. My mom is in the room. And for some reason, she walked over to the bed and started, like, playing with my hair and shit. And I just started breaking down crying. I threw a bed sheet over my fucking head. And I said, don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. I said, you fucked my life up so much. You fucking ruined my goddamn life. I don't want to say anything anymore. I want to just pack my bags and go live in the goddamn woods like the fucking Unabomber. because I don't even want to be around society. I know that's like a Joker thing to say, fucking society, but I don't want to be around people. People are fucking scary. You know, I'm a 6-foot guy, 300 pounds, I could fuck anybody up. And people could use that shit against me. The fact that I am a 6-foot man and I look scary. You know, I'm not a bad guy, but people will treat me like a bad guy. I'd rather go live in the fucking woods and hide from people because those are the real fucking monsters. You know? So, this nurse comes in, her name's Teresa. And Teresa is a massive cunt. Teresa takes my blood pressure, and while she's saying that, I'm telling my mom, I can't go to school ever again. I'm not going to cope. What did you get out of this? And Teresa goes, you sound kind of spoiled. Dude, I wanted to take this lady's head and bash it in the goddamn wall at that point, because who gives a fuck? You know? You know, who cares? You know, life's over. I got this fucking dog tag on me right now. This sign that's like, beware of dog. You know, the only plus size of this, I could go out and commit a horrifying crime. I could do something absolutely horrifying. And I wouldn't face any legal repercussions. Because I have this on my record now, to where they would just keep me in a hospital for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's
that's not an ominous thing. There's no foreshadowing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, that's the only thing that you could, that pretty much, yeah, you know? If I did want to go and be fucking, what do you call it, Schmill Bill or whatever, and go out and get revenge on all these people, you know? Which is not, again, not foreshadowing, not something I'm going to do. Not, you know, there's not going to be like months from now I'm on the news and all of a sudden there's a fucking, oh my God, on this podcast, he mentioned that. He was foreshadowed, he was letting in, he was red flag, we should have known. Like, no. I'm saying that is the only kind of thing I could brag about if someone were to fuck with me. You know what I mean? If your record's clean, you hit me, you can go to jail, go to court, blah, blah, blah. I hit you, I'm not going to face any legal repercussions. I just get sent to a fucking hospital for anger. You know? That's the only legal repercussion. Like I said, it's fucked up. You have strings, and then you don't have strings. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's what happened to the, what's-his-face, the Aurora guy. Do you know what he did? The Batman schmooter? Oh, yeah. Okay, did you know that he wrote down the plan and he sent it to his therapist, and his therapist didn't get to it in time when he did it? But because he was in some kind of psychiatric treatment and mental health, you know, he's just locked up for life. He's not facing any death penalty or repercussions or nothing. I mean, he's sealed away in Florence, I think Florence. But he's kept in isolation. He's kept away from the public. He's not facing really, I guarantee he's suffering. You know what I mean? Because humans are supposed to be social beings. Yeah. Even the antisocial fucks have to speak every once in a while. You know? They got to come out and do their taxes or buy food from a fast food place. They got to say something. Go to a grocery store and buy food. You know? Yeah. So, the one guy I can fucking have respect for, I mean, he was basically, he also kind of did it to himself, but Tommy Silverstein of the Aryan Brotherhood, that dude was kept in isolation. The guards aren't even supposed to talk to him. You know what I mean? That guy did that for 30 years. I just did 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And the art that came from that guy, that's how I know about it, is from other podcasts. I saw his art. He's a talented artist. I don't agree with his views, but, you know, he schmilled a correctional officer that was fucking with him, and because of that, they intentionally don't talk to him when he was locked up and kept in isolation. The only time he ever got out was during a riot. Keep that in mind. He's dead now. So for 30 years, he was kept locked away, never talking to anybody. The only person he had to talk to was himself. So, like I said, he did 30 years of that. That's why, you know, people do got it worse. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody in the history of humanity. No. I'm saying that this was like a bad fucking deal. A raw deal, and it just kept happening and getting more and more raw. So I'm getting more angry because Teresa's amping me up, And like I said, I flashed her. I did. I was like, you really want to fucking talk to me about this shit and give me some, like, shitty-ass noodles and having all this shit put in me? I said, I don't even want to say anything. She goes, that's not going to get you out of here. You know that, right? I go, you know what? But talking has gotten me this far. So I don't want to say a fucking word now. And she's like, you sound a little spoiled. I go, you know what, asshole? I said, tell me how spoiled I am being fucking injected with drugs, held down, and have my clothes taken away and deprived of showers, being deprived of just fucking human contact. Don't talk to me about fucking spoiled, bitch. You get to go home. I don't. My mom gets up. She goes, I should go. And she leaves. And that was the only time I saw her in the fucking psych ward. I didn't see her till I got out. So I go, I'm at night, I'm transferred upstairs. And so I call out the doctor that did this. That he said about me having alcoholism. You know what his response was? When I told my mom and all this shit showed up, he goes, I should have never told you that. I should have just never told you that. I go, well, you did, and it's already on my record. He goes, no, I changed it to, you had a fatty liver. Which is apparently kind of goes, yeah, when you have a fatty liver, your body releases an enzyme to have alcohol. I go, oh, that's great. So you're saying I'm drunk by not even getting drunk? You know? Mm-hmm. Like, that makes no sense. Well, you see, when he's giving me some bullshit thing, I don't even know if it's real or not. People are like, no, it's real. And other people are like, no, it's made up. But he made it seem like I was like an alcoholic. He made it seem like that I was this, guy. And I wish she didn't leave, because then I would have said, hey, how come you're telling him this shit? And then, like I said, my mom wants to find this guy because she wants to find out why he said all this crap. Yeah. Well, we did go looking for him. So I get transferred upstairs. And upstairs, you're a little more human. But it's basically school with extra steps. You can go to these classes to learn about cocaine and alcohol use and all this crap that I already knew. And I felt out of place because there were people in there with drug problems, with like suicidal thoughts. But here's what made me not really want to go near a hospital or a doctor. There were 2 people in there with amputated legs. One of them, her name was Kathy. She was such a sweetheart. I love her. I've seen her out in public. She's the only person I saw out of the psych ward, like in the bar that I go to, and I've told her like, how you doing and stuff. She was always sweet. She had depression because she lost her leg and she felt like she was useless at that point. Yeah. Which some people get that fucking feeling. And then we got a guy named Father John. The reason why I chuckled when you talked about the jail thing, you know how like in jail you get nicknames? Yeah. Okay, so I was finally given clothes. They took scissors and they cut my clothes up. I had a bunch of clothes there. Now, yeah, I have like loose fitting. And my mom will, in public, she'll be like, pull your pants up. I go, I could have, but they cut the fucking elastic out of it. So all my clothes are fucking cut up because of you. Thank you for that, by the way. I remind her every day. I do. I'm going through personal hell. You get to go through personal hell. You don't like it, you can kick me out of my house. I don't care. And I know that sounds like an arrogant thing to say, but I didn't call the fucking cops. I didn't cause this shit. Well, your mouth caused this shit. No, I was telling the truth of how I felt. But now I realize I gotta lie about how I feel. Yeah. You can't be open and honest when you're in a doctor's. You can't be open when a doctor says, "Do you smoke?" Say no. Deny everything. Deny everything. I don't care. Just deny everything. Because they're gonna, if they want to, they could fuck your life up and put it in there anyway. Who's gonna believe you? You or a professional with a PhD and all this? They're gonna believe someone who's crazy. And like I said, the way I'm talking right now sounds kind of crazy-ish. Like the way, I sound like a fucking conspiracy nut coming out of a fucking basement with like shit all over the walls. I didn't used to fucking talk like this.
Well, we're just coming up on the 2-hour mark. Let's
all right. So, this one's short. This one is short. So when I'm in there, I had to go to all these fucking classes. People gave me the nickname King because I wore the King 810 t-shirt. People gave me, I was a big dude. There was a bigger dude in there, but when I walked in, first thing I saw was some guy named Z. Annoying dude. He's like, so when you got brought in, did they have to inject drugs up your ass too? I'm like, no. And I was just super quiet, kept to myself. I had a Pokemon book with me, and the doctor that did that shit, he was trying to, like, why do you carry that book? I go, because Gary's here. He goes, who's Gary? I go, Gary's a patient that I've had to fucking work with, and I've recognized 5 people on that same floor. You had to go to all these classes. You had the option to go there, but if you wanted to get out, they would mark and see if you're in class participating and shit, and you get out quicker. Which, that is a bullshit thing. Because my roommate slept in his fucking room all day. We came up the same time. He got out the same day as me. It made no fucking difference. He was just laying depressed. Well, Z and this big dude, he walks up and says hi to him, and he about beats the shit out of him. And I'm like, okay, so just don't talk to people. So I just sat back and I talked, and I only answered when the nurse or whatever, the teacher of the class wanted to, ask me a question. That was it. I didn't talk to anybody. When people did, I kept it very short. I'd get on the phone. I had a list of numbers. I told my buddy Paul. I told my buddy Todd. And I just said, hey, I'm in a hospital right now. Some shit happened. I only have a limited amount of time to talk on the phone. But I'm just letting you know this is where I am. If anybody is looking. Nobody went looking for me. I went missing. The only way I was keeping in contact, because I was so pissed off at my mom, I said, basically my niece Hannah was the courier, going back and forth. So I did my time in there. Every day I did the stupid classes, which I would just read. They're like, you're not going to make any art? I said, I don't want anything from here to remember by. I already got enough shit in here. I don't want anything to keep on my fucking mantle and be like, oh yeah, I had this. People were collecting placemats because it had art on it. People were making all this art shit. And now you think like art, like, oh, you guys had like wood shop and shit. Like, no, it was just, you go in and you draw in coloring books, or you like paint. I didn't do any of that shit. I just sat there and read. Whatever, I'm there, I'm talking, I'm capable, I'm able. And they had asked me the same questions every day. Are you having hallucinations? Are you having this? How do you feel? No, I don't have any thoughts. Yes, I'm angry, and it's because I'm here. So it was like that every single day. And he wanted me on anti-seizure medication. And I told him that there's no reason I don't have seizures. I never needed it to have seizures. I never did have seizures. I had a doctor that caused me to have seizures, and so he could treat them, but I never had seizures. Once I was away from that doctor, I never had seizures ever since then. And so he put down non-medicine compliance. I was taking all the Prozac and melatonin and whatever the fuck he gave me, just doing what I was told. Not like a good little doggy, because you're not a fucking human. That was something like, you're not human in there. Do what you're told. You are a fucking animal. Hopefully you'll get out. And they were talking about people who were in there doing electroshock therapy. They were doing like certain things. Scared the fuck out of me, because Father John, he had an infection in his leg, went to the doctor 3 times, said he could actually feel it and all this shit. And by the time his leg got gangrene, the doctor was like so convinced that, there's nothing wrong with your leg. It's just all you're on drugs. He got gangrene and he lost his leg. So he was scared to go to a doctor. His home where he lives at is not wheelchair capable and stuff. So he's just given up too. Like I said, there's people in there that gave up on life. And there's just people in there that are just like amped up and just have anger problems. Stay from those people. But then you get the ones that like, they're on floor. I'm on the top floor area. Bottom floor is like the padded fucking rooms and shit. People are throwing their poop. People are just, you know what I mean? Like, I've never saw them, but I overheard the doctors talking about that they had that padded room shit. That exists. We were the ones that were capable to talk and shit. We might have, like, attitude problems or be angry, and if you had anger problems, you had caution tape put over your fucking, room. So, this doctor comes, and he goes, I could switch you to voluntarily, because I was telling him, like, I said, like, what am I here for? I said, like, what am I here for? I don't do drugs. I don't drink. You put that in there, but I don't drink. I said I could go for a fucking drink right now because of everything that's happened. But I haven't drank, Even after that, like, I didn't drink for the rest of the year after. I didn't drink till, like, maybe in December. When when I went on my birthday. So, he goes, well, I can switch you to voluntarily. I go, could you? I mean, I was like, at that point, it's like I'm already 2 weeks in, like almost 2 weeks. So what he did was he had me sign a bunch of paperwork. And he did that like throughout. Like he had me sign paperwork. He's like, you don't need to read it. Just sign it. Just sign it. Just sign it. And I usually like to read what I'm signing, but then if I didn't, he would take it away. And then it's like, okay, so I can't read it, and I'm only told to sign it. And it was like, the only way you can get upstairs is to sign this, sign this, sign this. And the only time I was able to read it was when they were going off on all my possessions, when they were cutting up my clothes and all that shit. I could pull out my phone one time, but it was only to get numbers down to write them down. I couldn't text anybody. I couldn't check my messages and shit or nothing. So I ended up... he's like, okay, here, I need you to sign this. And I looked, and it was the voluntarily thing. And so it's being switched from involuntarily to voluntarily. But that was a load of shit.
Yeah. So
remember, there's nothing good that comes out of the story. It's all like, it's like series of unfortunate events. It just goes downhill.
I know.
So
I know. All right. So when you signed the paper, what ended up ended up.
It was either sign it or wait longer.
Yeah, I know. I just...
Okay, so he basically... How it works is you sign the paperwork, you go involuntarily. Okay? And I was like, if I do involuntarily, I can leave on the fucking spot. Because then I'm not involuntarily anymore. I'm voluntarily. You know? Mm-hmm. So, voluntarily is you see a nurse. She has to do a physical and all this shit, whatever. Then you talk to a therapist, and they find out why you're here and how you feel. Then they talk to a psychiatrist to see if you need any medication. And then they do a diagnose and see... Once you have the diagnose put in, like there's people that come in to cope, and they, at the moment, there's moments where, you know, you have like incident, and then maybe like an hour later you're fine. They have scuba diving thoughts. Or they, you know, have an incident, and they come in, and they go, and they see a nurse. And then either they'll get impatient with the waiting time, and they'll say, fuck this, I'm going somewhere else, and they can leave. You know, they have the right, you have the right to leave. Unless you're involuntarily. Involuntarily, once you're in there, once those cops sign those forms, you are not getting out. You know, medication, you can leave. You know?
Yeah, but, so, how did you even get out?
Hang on. Because like I said, it's almost week 2. I stayed 2 weeks there. Here's some host shit that the doctor pulled. Like I said, he put down all this shit, and then he put down not taking any medication, so now he's making it seem like I'm not taking medication. Took all the fucking Prozac and melatonin he shoved in my throat. Not like I took it willingly, because I'm not trying to cause any more shit there. You know? They already pumped me full of drugs when I started talking. What happens now? So he had this shit already written out. I had not seen a nurse. He had basically the deposition. The deposition is what keeps you like, oh, he could either leave with medication, referral, or you're hospitalized pretty much. You're basically back to square one. So what does this motherfucker do? He brings me the voluntarily papers. Okay? I'm supposed to see a nurse, therapist, then I'm supposed to see this asshole. And I was supposed to just sign it, then like give it maybe a minute, see the nurse, and then just say I want to go home. You know? Then I could have left. Well, this guy is a sneaky bastard. He had the deposition already written out. Once I signed the voluntarily paper to be voluntarily put in the hospital, he then threw the deposition on top, and he goes, and I recognize it because, again, worked at Cope. I know how that works. He goes, he had the deposition, he threw it on top, and he goes, okay, cool. We're going to keep you here for 3 more days. Because then he had the deposition along, he puts that in. I went, and then the nurse came and saw me, and then I got to talk to the therapist, which was the lady that he worked with. So it was basically fucking duped into having to stay 3 more days. I even walked up to him, called him out on it, and I said, hey, I have a question. Since I'm voluntarily now, do I get to leave, or because you just threw that bed position on top, I'm now stuck here for 3 more days against my will? And he looked at me, he was shocked. He goes, how do you know that? I go, dumbass, I know what it looks like. I worked at a fucking psych ward. I work at Cope. Call Chico. You know? I work there, you fucking idiot. And he looked at me, he goes, we're going to keep you here for 3 more days. And he walks away. And it was ridiculous. It was like, this was the most fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm, Twilight Zone bullshit you would ever hear. You know? Yeah. But again, you have no rights. You are literally could have anything done with you. If they wanted to, they could have been like, hey, this guy's acting up. We got to fucking strap him to a fucking gurney and shock his brain. And they really could have. And they could have fucking shocked your brain till you're brain dead. And then they just wrote, oh, he had a heart attack and died. That's the scary shit about medical stuff. That's the shit that makes me like, keeps me up at night. Is that like, you could go somewhere, think you're going to get help or you're going to be safe. You're not fucking safe. Once it's like you're locked in there, you're locked in there. You're not getting help. So, on my final day, I'm finally let out, and I get all my stuff together, and there were some nurses I was trying to talk to. I was like, okay, I can't talk to patients. Let me see if I can talk to some nurses. And there was a lady who was cleaning my room, and she pulled out her phone, and she texted, and all I said was, hey, heads up, I worked at Cope, which is a psych ward, and I was just trying to make small talk. I'm like, hey, I work at Cope, and I'm sitting in the bed reading a book, and I'm like, you know, you shouldn't have your phone out. And she goes, why? I go, because anybody could grab it and chuck it at the wall. I've seen it, have it done, not by me, but I've seen it and had it done by people who had their Apple Watches broken and shit. She goes, are you going to do something? I'm like, no. She goes, I'm nervous now. You just said that. I'm like, I'm not going to. And then she's like, I'm kind of nervous now. She walked out of the room. I'm like, okay, just don't talk. So they're on my final day. They asked, is there anybody coming to get you? Like, I want my fucking mom to come get me and have that car ride home. I said, the last car ride I ended up in a hospital. You really want me to fucking do that? They're like, well, we're just wondering, how are you going to get home? I go, I can't walk, can I? They go, no. I said, then you know what? Since you already fucking milked me for everything, I might as well put this shit to use. Call me a fucking taxi. And he gave me like this look, yeah, the only time you fucking get inconvenienced, yeah, I'm gonna inconvenience you. Call me a fucking taxi. I'm not driving home. I'm not having my parents pick me up. You can sit there, call up a fucking taxi, and have them come get me, and they can drive me home. I'm already fucking paying for it, pretty much, you know? So, they did that. The nurse brings my shit to my room, which half of it I never even got to fucking see. They cut up my clothes. The rest of it just got put fucking aside. They put there was this skinny little nurse that was like 5 foot something. And like I said, I'm not like a monster or nothing, but I'm just like, Jesus, you'd think they'd have, like, if Cope, we've had backup security or something. I go, one, I'm a guy, she's a girl. It's supposed to be a guy nurse doing this, you know? It's not supposed to be a female, like a male. I'm not supposed to go near female patients unless there's a doctor present or something, because they could say anything. And they have. Not to me, but I'm saying just in general. Yeah. It's just a rule. Female patients, if they have to get searched, have to be searched by the nurse, who is a female. And I'm sorry, but that transgender, whatever, the politics, whatever, that doesn't fucking count in mental health. I'm sorry. They're very this way or this way. They're not like, oh, this way, this way, this way. No, they're just like, you're male, go with male nurse. Male and female nurse. Fuck you. You know, they're like, fuck that transgender bullshit. You get searched, you get searched. These are the people that search you. So, what I'm thinking, and I'm like, I could say it, but then it's like, I already said something about a phone earlier, and the fucking one nurse was like shaking and shit. It's like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
And I was telling her, like, look, I'm not in here on, like, drugs or anything or, like, psychotic. I was brought here because of scuba diving. I said something stupid during an argument, and I got brought here. So you got nothing to worry about. Just do whatever you're doing. I'm just sitting here reading my book. And it was like I said, kindergarten. You couldn't fucking, like, nobody listened to a word you said. You're a child, and they're the adults. You know? Mm-hmm. So this small nurse is in my room. And I'm looking at her, I go, one, I'm a very big dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, maybe there's a reason why you were there by what I'm about to say, but I'm not, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not going to, but I'm like, if I was that 6 foot something ginger kid that I saw at Cope, what would he have done to that girl? You know? She is not someone that could put up a fight. And I know people are like, well, I know people who could scrap it. So this girl was a twig. I could have probably lifted her up by like my arm. You know what I mean? Like Vader choker or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
Didn't.
No, but I didn't. I was,
Yeah, so...
no, she didn't do nothing to me. But, she was just doing her job. But all I thought was like, how fucking irresponsible and not smart of her to go into a room without either security or like a big dude,
Yeah.
And the fact that she was a female, anything could have happened,
Yeah.
Could have went Bane on her ass from Batman, Dark Knight Rises if you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could have, but I'm not. That's what separates us from them.
All right, so when
Bill Burr said that. What's up?
So when you left the room, when you finally got out of that room, what happened?
All right, so I got escorted to the front of the hospital. I finally got to fucking... It was raining, which I was like, fuck, I wanted to see sunlight. I got to smell fresh air for a minute, and all I thought was, I'm never going back to this hospital again. This is the hospital I was born in. I'm never going to a hospital again. My life is never going to be the same. I turn on my phone. My phone's on low battery. I drive back to the house. I'm texting all my coworkers who said, hey, where you at? Hey, you left me alone. What the fuck? Where are you? And they didn't know. Nobody knew. The only person that knew was Chico and the heads of Cope. Which I'm like, I figured, Grapevine or something would have fucking happened.
Yeah.
They sealed my medical records, so none of my coworkers that I work with could have looked it up. Because I know these motherfuckers, they're nosy. They would have looked it up. They would have saw all that shit and been like, what the fuck? This isn't the Chris that we know. Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
So, because like I said, all that shit is on my record. Non-medicine compliance. Scuba diving.
Yeah.
All that shit. You know what I mean? Alcoholism. All that crap is on my file now.
Yes.
If I talk about this to people, who the fuck is going to believe me?
Well, anybody that's watching this.
No, I'm talking about, like, who is going to believe me? A doctor? You got involuntarily. A cop? Whatever, dude. You're fucking crazy. I'm not believing a word you say.
The suspense is literally killing me. Like, how did you get out of this damn place?
I did my time. You can't keep you there forever.
Yeah, I know.
And because I called this guy out, because now that I was voluntarily, instead of getting out at that time, he kept me there for 3 days. Like I said, this guy, I don't know who the fuck this doctor is, if he's trying to like milk the insurance for as much as possible or what, because everything is marked down. The Band-Aid, the cotton swabs, everything is charged by the insurance company. The doctors and hospitals, they make money off that shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this guy had some sort of fucking mental problem or something, but he, like, if that one flew as a cuckoo's nest, like Nurse Ratched, setting motherfuckers up to do something. That's what this guy did. And I've heard about shit from other people, I heard about people like doing shit like this. That these people are fucking like psychopaths or sociopaths, whatever, and they blend into society and they get a job, and that's why you think like you have a boss that's a dick and you think like he's just an asshole, and then you get the boss that's like a dick because he enjoys it. You know what I mean? He enjoys being an awful person. That's what this guy does. And not only did he enjoy this shit, but he got to make money off it. And he taught others this is how you do it. So that's why everybody went on board. Because basically he convinced them, who the fuck's going to believe this guy? Who's going to believe these people? Nobody believed me, not even my mother, until she went to a hospital a few months ago, and she overheard at St. Mary's them bragging about there was a gentleman who suffered from seizures, and he didn't have his medication, and he had a seizure, and he hit his teeth on the board, and so his teeth were fucked up. They were saying, "No, you're on drugs." He goes, "No, I'm not on drugs. I'm on medication." And they were holding his medication. They were doing shit just to do it. Then the security guard, they were making fun of this patient. My mom was disgusted, and then here's what got her to finally fucking believe me after so long. He went down there, and a security guard literally bragged to the nurses that he was having a bad day, so just to release some stress, he went down to the involuntarily lot, went in one of the rooms, and just started beating the shit out of one of the patients. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So, how long ago was it that this whole event happened?
That was April 8th last year I got arrested. That's why when I said the 2 weeks that I was having, I had quit my job. I just didn't give a fuck. So I'm at home. I walk in. Instantly my family wants to start some shit. I just barricaded my fucking door. I didn't want to see those people.
Yeah, well, you've already had a nice ordeal. To brighten the whole thing, I need to know.
What?
You already know what I'm going to ask.
What's up?
Do I have to ask you?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know.
It happened on April 21st of this year. A monumental moment in horror.
All right. Let's get to this.
It has to happen.
Fine. We'll talk about it, then I got to get back to like Jeff.
No, let's do that part first, because I want to branch off. I do not want to end this like that. It's not happening. I can't end this like that.
I really don't want to do part 3.
Yeah, no. Let's
wrap it up. Okay, do you know how like the Jeffrey Dahmer TV series?
Yeah.
How it showed him like doing the crimes and shit, and then he went to during the court process and talking to lawyers.
Yes, sir.
But then it shows the aftermath of all of that and people how they moved on in their lives. Yeah. Okay. Nobody else, nobody in my family, they didn't get affected by this. I lay in bed and I can't sleep because the only thing that's on my mind is this. The only thing that's on my mind is this hospital bullshit. And I'm trying to think of what do I do now. The guy who owned Cope called me and asked me if I wanted to come back, and I told him I'm sorry. I had something really fucked up happen to me in that hospital. And I could say I had something like as if it was one thing, it was multiple things. And I have zero faith in mental health. I never want to be a therapist again. If someone tells me that they're going to go scuba diving, I'm sorry, but no, you're not supposed to promote that shit, but doing that, I think, would be much better than getting help. Because you get punished for asking for help.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I'm taking you to murky waters.
Just for the sake of it, because I feel like this is, I don't know, we'll see. But I do not think you should do that. You should call somebody.
Watch what you say. Deny, deny, deny.
Yeah.
If you have a kid and they tell you, Mom, I'm feeling like this, Dad, just talk to them. Don't fucking call the cops, because the cops are going to throw the cuffs on you. My mom thought they were just going to show up that day and scream in my face and make me feel like scared and shit. No, they put the cuffs on me. It's like when American Dad, when Roger and Klaus were lovers and they were doing it, and then Roger got jealous and did shit, called the cops, and then they end up putting the cuffs on Klaus, and then Roger's like, wait, I thought you were just going to yell at him. You're not supposed to take him away. Well, that's not how that works. The cops don't work for you. And the cops are going to do what you want. You know, you don't run the show. They do now. It was like summoning a demon. You summon the demon, they're going to do their fucking thing. You know? So I started having night terrors every night. I would dream about the hospital. If I moved my legs in my sleep, I would like wake up and shit. I would wake up screaming. I would think about the clicking noise. I'd think about the fucking music. And I would begin to get really angry to where I'd like slam my fist down on shit or punch a wall. Something I'd never done prior. And I went to go to the bar one night with a friend to just blow off steam. I'm cooped up in the house. I have no job. I have only a limited amount of money left because I got my last check from Cope. You know what? I'm an alcoholic now. That's what it's in my records. I'm fucking crazy. Let's go drinking. I'm just going to drink from night to day. So me and my buddy, we go. I got super fucking drunk. I go to the bar. Haven't been there since the last time I was in there. I was, cleaning glasses with my buddy Mark because he had just hit 10 G's on a scratch off. I had just gotten a really good job. Things were looking up. When I did my very first stream with you guys, shit was going on, but it was like it was like a seed that sprouted, and it was just kind of like just starting to fucking take root. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in a denial period where I was trying to deny that, like, I'm fucked up by this. This is just a bad deal. This is just something bad that happened. And the more I thought about it, the more I became angry. And the more I got angry, I would punch walls, slam my fist down, bite my wrist and shit. And I didn't get to cutting myself till like October, November of last year. And that was when that shit really started to take root and like get really bad. I started having flashbacks of just stuff that was happening. If I went to sleep, I didn't sleep after that. Sleep eventually became a luxury, and I wouldn't even call it sleep. I'd call it being passed out. Sleep is when you are tired, you want to go to bed. Passing out is where your body's so fucking drained of energy to where you just fall asleep on the spot, anywhere. And anybody tuning in, I'm not crying watching this. I'm allergic to the pollen that's in the air right now, so I'm got like being out here in the country. There's a lot of pollen and shit in the air, so I keep blowing my nose. But so I started getting angry, screaming, just cuss words, anything. I was like, I'm not hearing voices in my head like telling me to kill or any of that shit. It was like hearing the stuff from the hospitals, hearing the screaming, the clicking, the TV, the stuff, and it was just everything was going on repeat, and it was like a record player that never stopped playing. So I go to the bar, I'm getting super drunk, I'm feeling good. Me and my buddy, we leave, we go to McDonald's, we walk down there. He goes back. This is the same guy, same predicament that I was in. He had been to the psych ward, and he had got fucked up too. And I knew this kid since we were little kids. And he had been sent there a bunch of times. One time, and then after that, he wasn't the same. And he kept getting sent back. Where is he now? I don't know. He says horrible things on the internet about women, about doing stuff to him and shit he didn't used to. Yeah. He takes heavy drugs now. He'll have mental breakdowns. He will flip out. He takes hard drugs. He drinks. He does not give a fuck. Right now, I saw his grandmother where I worked at last fall. And that's when it started to really click. She said he now belongs to the state. I don't know what that means, if he's in a group home or if he's in a prison. I don't know. But he's disappeared. He's off the map. And it's not going to end well for that guy. There's no future for that guy.
Well, you're here. You
for
made
now.
It.
For now.
So, yeah.
But I don't stop talking about what happens. But at the same time, even I'm getting sick of repetitive and talking about it. But at the same time, nothing has changed. I went to the bar that night. I got drunk. We went to McDonald's. We went walking back to the house. And he had to go get money. The truth was, he if I would have saw it, I would have said something and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do that shit. He went in his backyard and took some shrooms. I didn't know that. I was waiting out in front. We go back to the bar. He flips the fuck out. He went to the bathroom. He's like, can we leave? I go, dude, the night's still young. Let's just stay here and just get drunk all night and shit. We got nothing to do. You got nothing going on. I got nothing going on. I'm in a shitty mood. I'm feeling better just being here. And we were rocking out to Marilyn Manson's Slipknot, a bunch of shit on the jukebox and shit, just Danzig having a blast. It was like the only time I've ever felt pure enjoyment from this year, just anything. And he goes to the bathroom, and Stacy, the bartender, which I'm about to go start working at that bar, hopefully next week. She goes, "Hey, Chris, your boy's got to go." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "He's in the bathroom. He just punched the fucking walls and shit." I'm like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, are you having an episode right now?" And I didn't know he was on drugs. I just thought he was having a mental breakdown. I said, "Dude, what the fuck?" He had slash marks on his neck with blood. I said, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. There was this bitch that I was talking to, and she doesn't talk to me no more." And all this. Like, he had a full-on mental breakdown. It went from his, the bitch that he was talking to blocked him, to his grandmother has brain cancer, which isn't true. I later found out that wasn't true. He was, like, so fucking mentally deteriorated that, like, he went from, like, one, like, in this area where he's all calm and cool and shit, to flipping the fuck out. He will put stuff on the internet, and then he'll, like, sober up or whatever, then he'll delete it. But he goes back to, like, he'll talk about KILLING women because they don't talk to him. Yeah. He didn't used to sound like this. He didn't used to talk like this. And I'm not going to sit here and justify it's wrong, it's fucked up. He's really fucked up for doing that shit. But at the same time, he goes to those hospitals and he comes back out, and he comes back out much worse. I didn't hang out with him for 2 years. He showed up on my doorstep one day. He was a fucking twig. He had been doing heavy drugs and shit. His teeth were all fucked up. And then he just disappeared again. And then he came back and he looked fine. I thought he got detoxed or something, but he was just working out, bulking up, and just doing that shit. So he flips the fuck out and he goes back in. They eventually end up calling the cops on him. He goes out and tries to get hit by a car, and I can hear him on the phone calling me while I'm in the bar, and the cops showed up. Westland cops showed up, and they said, who gives a fuck? And they leave, because that's typical Westland cops, by the way. I was like, can you just make sure he doesn't fucking hurt himself? Which is, I know it's like, what the fuck do you do in that situation? You know what I mean? The Westland cops were the ones who put me there. All I just said was, can you just get him home? You know? He didn't say the magic word, so I just said he's really fucked up. He's upset about his girlfriend dumping him or something, his grandma. Can you just pick him up and take him home and let him just sleep it off? He'll be fine in the morning. And they're like, nah, he's not doing anything. Because, again, he didn't say the magic word. So they leave. Livonia cops show up because he went all the way down to Emerson Middle School. Went down where those, in front of this replay, where a lot of people stand outside. And he just goes up and he starts wailing on 3 of them. He knocked out 3, and then the 4th guy pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the back. And, like I said, he had slash marks on his neck. I thank God I did this. I took the knife from him before he left and had his, major meltdown. Because he went back in trying to fight people. He did, this deep death metal growl, which he's now a story at Renee's. They talk about him.
But that's what I'm worried about, man.
Well, I tried getting him the fuck out. So I go there. He gets arrested, sent to the hospital. I check on him. He got stabbed in the back and was found face down, laying in Emerson. They picked him up and they took him to the hospital, and he had been there. He had gotten out. You know when he got out?
No.
A fucking week later.
Damn.
Yeah. What the fuck? He was on shrooms. He had all this shit. The cops were just telling me how it was Livonia cops, and even though I hate cops, if I ever have a question legal-wise, I go to Livonia. And I know people are like, well, Livonia is worse. It's like, you know what? But I've lived in Westland my whole life. I've had to deal with Westland cops. I go to Livonia. They at least talk to you,
Yeah.
So I go back to Renee's a couple days later. I'm embarrassed because that happened. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can't buy a car without something happening. You can't go to work without something happening. You can't go to your niece's house without something happening. You can't even go to the fucking bar without something happening. So I'm sitting at the table, and I'm just kind of at this point, I'm just more depressed drinking. Because it's like, how the fuck did my life go from this to this, from here to here?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there depressed, and all of a sudden this skinny guy comes up, a little bit older than me. He goes, hey, I hope you don't mind, I took a picture of you. And honestly, like, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, you know, and like, I would have been like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you taking pictures of me and shit? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. At that point, I'm so drunk. I'm like, at this point, whatever the fuck happens, happens. I just looked and I said, I'll just crack a joke to let him know I'm not upset. I'm just like, oh, I wish you, he says, I hope you don't mind. I took a picture of you over at the bar. You look just like my brother, which I get that a lot. Like, I always look like somebody with the beard, long hair, the face. I don't know. I never met anybody that looks like me, but I look like my boss's son. I look like my other boss's brother.
But I need to know the crescendo.
What do you mean? Okay, so the reason why I said I wish you would have asked me, I would have posed for you. He laughed. He sat down. We talked. What?
No, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why I'm telling you this story is because I fucking broke down and I told him, I said, dude, nobody will hire me. I tried getting a job after all this shit. And it was like they would walk me through and meet all the employees and get the schedules, you know, but they'd do the background check. I'd tell them, hey, yeah, I could pass a drug test, blah, blah. They do a background check. They see that, never get it called back. So that's why I drank my fucking sorrows and Renee's. I go to, the bar, and I'm sitting there, and finally I just broke down, and I told this dude everything that happened. And I'm pretty sure he was drunk. He didn't hear half of it, but I'm like, nobody will fucking hire me. I never smoked. I never drank. I never did anything. I kept my fucking nose clean. And honestly, a fucking felon can get a job right now, and I can't get anything because of this shit. And he looked at me and goes, all right, you're fucking hired. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm the manager at Happy's Pizza next door. I'm like, for real? And he goes, yeah. I go, okay, but I have to tell you something, McMahon. I got sent to a hospital. If you do a background check on me, that's on there, but I'm not fucking crazy. And he goes, no, dude, you're hired. I go, okay, but I can pass a drug test. I'm making that very clear. And even though I'm drinking right now, I'm not going to be drunk when I walk in. He goes, no, you're hired. You're fucking hired. Come see me on Friday. And I ended up getting a job there. And I ended up getting another job at the Save-A-Lot in the same lot because they needed somebody. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, fuck.
And,
almost passed out.
Sorry.
Lightheaded.
All right.
I fucking cracked my back.
You wanna? I'll stop the story.
No, you're good. You ever stood up too fast and cracked your back?
Yeah, but you said you almost passed out.
No, it was just not passed out, but
right.
Lightheaded. I got them colors.
I was worried I was like boring and shit.
No, I swear to God, I haven't heard my back crack in like fucking 10 years.
I'm trying to get this off my record. I one night went to Happy's. I left Happy's and I went to the police station to see if this was on my record to just verify it. You know, is it or is it not? Like, there's got to be maybe it's hoping to God it's not on my record.
Yeah.
I went to the Westland police station, and the guy's playing games on his fucking computer because I could hear it. And he goes, he's some dickhead with glasses. He goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, you guys had me arrested back in April, and I just wonder if you could run my license and see if it's on my thing." Because they keep saying, you weren't arrested, you weren't charged, you weren't arrested, you weren't charged. What the fuck do you call being put in handcuffs, put in a fucking cop car, taken to somewhere else? What do you call that, an arrest? They're like, no, you got involuntarily. I go, no. Voluntarily was I was dragged out. I walked willingly, but I had handcuffs behind my back. I was put in the back of a fucking cop car, and I got taken to a hospital, and then I was just basically held there, and I'm going to say it, against my fucking will. I didn't get a choice. I didn't get a choice the minute those cuffs went on me.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so they're like, you weren't arrested, and I'm like, well, it's showing up in the thing. The guy told me we can't help you with that. I said, yes, you can. You can run people's license and just pull it up. I just want to know if it's on there. And he goes, no, we can't. I go, really? Then how come places of employment are hiring? And like, that's once they look at my background, I'm not hired. He told me with his exact words, a uniformed cop, "Get the fuck out. We can't help you. Get the fuck out of here." So then I just left him like, dude, fuck these assholes. So then when I have a question, of course, can't go to Westland cops, but even though they were the ones who arrested me, I went there. I go to Livonia police station. I explained my situation. They said, yeah, that's really fucked up. And they're like, they shouldn't have done that, but it's... Yeah. And they ran my license. They go, it's on here, but because it's in a different department, we can't open it. You have to go to Westland and get it. You have to call Hall of Records. I called Hall of Records twice, left a voicemail, never heard back. I went there when they opened. They just gave me a list of lawyers. I tried contacting every lawyer multiple times. Never heard back. And I know I'm going to fight this in court to get this off my case. So I'm going to try to fight to get this off my case because I have no priors. I have nothing. If I can get this off my case, remember, this is my word against a doctor and a cop. So I worked at 2 places. I asked my bosses if they could write me a letter, but it has to be notaried, you know? And there's conveniently, in between Renee's and Happy's and across the street from Save-A-Lot, is a Comerica Bank with a free notary. All they had to do was write a letter saying that Chris is capable, sound mind and body. If I'm, so fucking crazy, how come I have a license and I can drive? How can I work 2 jobs? How am I able to, do this other than being late 15 minutes at one job?
Yeah,
I'm fine. I wanted reputable people to fucking, write a letter so I could bring it in. She'll go like, listen, this fucking cop that I've never seen before, who I've never seen since, has did this shit, and then now it's on there, and that's what people think when they look me up. This doctor who came and gone in the past 2 weeks has fucked my life up. How about the people that did all this shit? Well, that have been around me. And that's why I'm going to try to go before a judge. But I cannot get a goddamn lawyer on the phone to help me.
Well, anybody out there know a lawyer, let them know.
Here's the thing. Everybody knows a lawyer, but I call, and it's like, yeah, they're not going to get back to you the first time, but it's like I call and I call and I call. I cannot get fucking help to know. I'm not even asking for a lawyer to be in the courtroom with me. What forms do I got to fill out? What are the right forms? It's not an arrest, but it's on my record. I'm trying to get it expunged. I'm trying to get my life back to be able to leave the country, own a gun, legally change my name, be able to fucking vote, do shit. It's like I looked up all the stuff that I can't do. It's like, and then when I found out I couldn't go to fucking school, like, what the fuck? Where's the rehabilitation? Where's the getting, getting better? No. What they would want is they would love it if I had a public meltdown, then they could cuff me, put me in the back of that cop car and take me back to the hospital, and I'm home. There it is. That's I'm saying, like, and meanwhile,
there's a nice cap
I'm getting fucking irritated, and I'm getting angry about it. I'm getting fucking pissed about it to the point where it's like I'm like literally screaming at night because it's like not only is my life over, but this shit happened. My life is over, and I feel like I can't talk to anybody about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. What were you saying?
No, you're good. Go ahead, finish.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Because we're nearing the end.
Yeah. No, let's do that because we're at 2.5 hours. We're about to have another 4-hour boy.
No, we're not. This is the end here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, this is where I'm at now. I have suppressed my anger so much that I'm now having to cut my wrist open just to fucking calm myself. I basically
don't condone this.
Take pills. Hey, better than getting help at a fucking hospital, dude. I take pills on some days. I don't want to live my life on a fucking drug, so I only wait till it gets bad. And I do joke about this with my girlfriend. I said, hey, at least when I'm off my pills, I'm not sputtering anti-Semitic shit like Kanye. But I said, basically, I don't have thoughts of wanting to hurt people. I was so angry about this doctor that did it, I wanted to go looking for him. I wanted to. Because my life was over at that point, that I wanted revenge. For, from the fucking summer to the fall. Even to, the beginning of this year, that I was just so fucking pumped full of anger. And I was almost like an ape. Just screaming, losing my shit. And then I just take a pill and I'm back to normal. And that is the difference between January last year and January this year. Is now that I'm on pills, I drink more, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to say anything. And I made a post, because I told people about this. I don't wear this, and I don't want to piss anybody off, or I'm worried that something's going to happen, but at the same time, it's like, what the fuck?
Tread lightly, because I have a feeling we've already crossed a couple of lines on this. We tried our best to... I pretty much, if nothing does get better, and it gets worse, or I don't end up getting this off my record, there really is no reason to continue this shit. And I know people will go, oh, you have so many reasons. No. I mean, I wanted to get an education, move out, go to school, learn a skill, make money, and be able to do shit. And I've never did anything to this point.
And at this point, and I made that post on my Facebook, it's going to be a fucking miracle if I make it to Halloween. Because from like a couple months ago, it was going to be after Halloween. I just, because it wasn't going to get any better. There's no doctors I could have went to. I'm scared to go to hospitals. I'll have a fucking breakdown when I'm in a hospital. I feel like my PTSD is getting worse. I feel like, like I said, my family, like half of them don't even want to talk to me anymore because to them, my fucking PTSD has become a burden on their life. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I don't have friends. I have amazing friends. I have an amazing girlfriend. And at the same time, it's like she does deserve better. And I tell her that. I go, you don't deserve someone with fucking PTSD that talks about this shit. That when the dark cloud happens, I don't give a fuck. I'll say whatever. And it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I just end up in a hospital. I get fucking tortured. Yeah. So it's like, there was a period, I ended up getting my settlement in February. And then after that, it was like, once I found out I couldn't even go to school and couldn't get a letter from any of my bosses, I couldn't get any lawyer to take my case or know what to do or call me back. It's like, I could literally just check out now. And why would I want to be here carving up my arms?
Well, on a happier note.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
I'm not going to say the magic word because then I'll get implicated. Yeah. But I'm just saying that, like, if I'll do the OJ thing. If I did, I would want to live every fucking life, every day like it's the last day of my life. Party, drink. Don't do drugs because I'm just not a drug guy. I drink, gamble, hang out with friends, have a fucking blast, make it to Halloween, then afterwards I'm good to go. Because on Halloween, why Halloween? 1, it's my favorite holiday. 2, I hand out Pokemon cards to kids every year. I've done it as tradition. I don't want to fucking miss that. 3, that's why I'm not really jumping on trying to make a YouTube channel or a podcast and shit. I'm not trying to, I would like to finish a book, but it's not going to be finished in time. And it's like, if I try to go get help, this is the help you're going to get. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say the magic word. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if one day it does happen. Because it's going to happen one day. It could be years from now. And I hope to God that I get this off my record and have a reason to make it, and have a reason to fucking do it. But I'm just telling you, the rate I'm going, I mean, right now I'm in a good mood. But 2 weeks ago, it was like, why the fuck am I making it to Halloween? I could just do it now. Do it now. Do it now. And it's going to happen. And that's the scary part, is it's literally, right now I'm like tugging on a fucking rope and I'm playing tug of war. But at some point my hands are going to get fucking raw and I'm going to have to let go. And when that does happen, I know how to do it, where to do it. And I will tell people my final, thoughts, goodbyes. I'm not going to be like, hey, come see this. It's not going to be like a fucking show where you're like, hey, at this time and day. I'm not going to tell you when it's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you where it's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you what day it's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you right now, April 8th, 2022, my life was over. I'm just pretty much like Jeffrey Dahmer in the prison just waiting. Yeah. So it's going to happen. That's the thing. People want me to stay longer and try to have it, but it's like, I could, and I could get this off my record and be clean, but at the same time, it's, so, yeah. I could sit here and be depressed and talk about, boo-hoo, I told my mom this, and I told my mom, she knows, she doesn't want it to happen, but everybody is trying to help me, and I'm not saying, oh, don't help me. It's just like, why wait now to when I'm ready to just let go? Why wait now? Why not then? Why couldn't you back off? Why do you have to wait till like finally the fucking valve blows up? Yeah. So I like I said, it's just after Halloween that's all I'm trying to make it to at this point. And I'll continue taking my pills. I'll continue to drink, go out, have a fun time, gamble. I like gambling. But I do it at night. I go out. I don't try to be at my house. I don't sleep, so I go out and I gamble. And I've had some pretty fucking good luck with that, which is ironic that last year bad shit happens, good shit happens this year. But it's like, oh, well, now you have a reason to stay. No, all it is just continue.
My favorite thing that happened this year so far happened a couple days ago.
I knew you were going to talk about it. All right, let's stop talking about this bullshit. This is over now. You know, I've said my piece.
Yeah,
I've said my story. I know. I'm capping it right now. I've said my piece. I said my story.
Like I'm literally
I said
just
my
gonna
final thoughts.
mention
It's done.
My like rough ass opinion on this.
That's fine.
Evil Dead thing.
And then we get to Evil Dead.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, I'm gonna have to just. Well, anyways, so the premise of the movie, I like how they. I'm not gonna ruin anything, but let's just say if you like the old one, not a lot has changed. And
the eyes.
No. I'm saying like I don't,
look at
I
the
don't
Deadite. No, look at the Deadite's eyes though. Come on, that white. You know what I mean? The messed up faces. Honestly, that was the one thing I was kind of disappointed with the Deadites in this one is that their eyes were just like bloodshot red. They looked like they had a fucking pink eye, like a severe pink eye, and that was it. Like they looked like they almost was like Joker-esque. You know, they had a little bit of scars and shit. They should have made it like how it was with Evil Dead 2 with the fucking, you know what I mean, that blonde-haired guy with the fucking, you know, he had like that, his teeth were hanging out. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I'm just saying, like, when I saw those eyes, I'm like, that's not a Deadite. That's just a fucking possessed zombie person. Which, okay, yeah, well, that's what it is. No, but look at Ash with Evil Dead, how he looks like when he becomes a Deadite. The eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even, like, somewhat in the original, they had, like, those, I don't know if it was, like, contacts or if it was a fucking prosthetics they put over the eyes, but they fucking, you know.
Yeah. Well, I there is not much I can say without ruining the movie, so I guess I'm gonna end it with this: go see the fucking movie, and there's been 2 options laid out on the table if you have mental health tonight, and I hope you pick a healthy one.
Don't be me.
But you guys out there, I hope you guys have a good night.
Remember this. Mental health is not a joke, but the mental health treatment is.
Man, with that. There you
and
go.
fuck Westland PD.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have you guys have a nice night.
Next time I'll be on the podcast will not be about this. I'm not bringing this up again. These were my final thoughts. I got to share my story. I'm happy. You know, hopefully I can get this off my record. Hopefully I can bring some assholes to justice legally in a courtroom. Mm-hmm. You know, but nothing's going to happen to anyone, you know, nothing like that. Yeah. Next time I'm on this podcast, I'm going to show my graded card collection. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same shit. It's going to be the same wacky videos, comic. Don't worry. Everything is fine. All right? Shout out to my girlfriend, Jessica. Shout out to everybody in Creeping Chaos. Shout out to my buddy Todd and his band Harry Queen. Shout out to Walls. Shout out to my boy Dirty B who let me be on here and talk and take some of his time, and I appreciate it. And
well, thanks to you guys for coming in here, everybody. Hope, like I said, I hope you guys all have a good night. We're about to find off and go fuck it. Yeah. But you should do the same, you slimy bastards.
Catch you later, you little bitches. I don't know why I said it like that.